And we're live! Hello and welcome to another episode of Game Theory Gang. I'm Maddie Allen with ChrispyMan of Hexfire.io. Welcome.
Hey now.
We've got a great show for you tonight, so hit the like and subscribe button, share this out. There's been a lot of action in PulseChain in the past day or two.
There has been a lot of action on PulseChain the last day or two.
And some would say even more to come. Of course, for those of you who've been following closely, I guess one of our normal show members, Fast Abdoul, I think he announced earlier today that at some point, ink printer will launch. So Bristology is out there in the chat asking about it already. Lots of anticipation there. But in other news, how about Judge Auntie Carol depegging pDAI? What'd you think about that?
Are you sure you're not conflating that?
I might have mixed up my stories here a little bit.
Mix up your story a little bit.
By the way, for those of you saying bang bang in the chat, I think Kareem will join us here in maybe 10 or 15 minutes. So we'll have all kinds of people popping in.
Dude,
all kinds of regulars.
Well, we need somebody who knows what the hell's going on. Get on here.
Right. So on Monday, Judge Aman of the Northern District of New York Federal Court decided to give the SEC another 30 days. She wanted to call their bluff. And so that shook up the market a little bit. And but that was kind of expected. Ever since Friday, we found out, you know, what the SEC was up to, and that kind of sent things down a little bit. But this is a temporary thing, and Nuclear Herbs already did some streams about it to calm everybody's nerves. So
yeah, I got a chance to listen to him talk about that today, and that was good. And basically just saying, hey, hold your horses. This is a normal process. Gotta let it work through the process, and that's it.
Yep. What are you gonna do?
Cry in my beer.
Right. But this community sticks together through thick and thin. So I still see other influencers.
Yeah. We might be like family, or some people might say we're like prisoners shackled together, right?
Trauma bonded was one comment I saw.
Trauma.
Right.
That's why they call it the pain chain.
Right.
The pain chain. Not because we have a token called pain. Not because we have a token called pain. A pump tires token called pain chain.
Free advertising. There you go.
I know.
But yeah, believe it or not, we're all still here. I do see other influencers saying that like they see a bunch of negativity. I guess I just blocked all the right people or something. So honestly, I don't, I see some valid criticisms here and there, but I see a lot of positivity on my timeline. So remember, you can always dial it in and out a little bit if you decide to follow people who are going to be more positive about things. But
well, that's the thing, right? Surrounding yourself with people who are positive leads to positive results. So.
Yep. And yeah, so that's cool. And then today we got another dose of drama in that.
Do tell.
Well, everybody saw that the price of pDAI was falling off a cliff, and so of course the on-chain sleuths, they tracked it down to the Atropa developer who decided to bite on the rumor or confirmed truth or something that there was like an inflation bug in pDAI. I saw a debate going back and forth between Sami and Nine Iron Capital and others, and then Just Ask Jesse was also weighing in. And so, yeah, I mean, it was like it was a big mess. It was a big hot mess for a day or two of people arguing about whether there was an inflation bug in pDAI, and but the price of pDAI was going up, so nobody knew what to make of it. And then all of a sudden today we got a crash down, maybe 75% earlier today, in the price of pDAI, going down to like, what did it go down to? I know that JDAI, the JPEG version of DAI, has been flipping the price of pDAI here and there throughout the day. But the current price of pDAI is 0.4 of a penny. And it may be traded at least maybe half, 50% lower than that today. So
Can you go ahead. You finish your thought. I
Oh
was going
yeah,
to ask you to clarify something.
go ahead.
Well, you mentioned there being a bug, and it's not that the contract has a bug that allows more minting. It's that the implementation of this contract on PulseChain may allow people to mint in an unanticipated fashion.
Yeah, what sloppy reporting of me? I'm sorry.
Well, people getting really. I've heard some crazy stuff today, man. Like crazy.
Right.
Like
So
aliens came to Earth and printed pDAI. I mean,
I tried.
lizard people printed pDAI. So
I tried to present it as we don't know. But yes. So it was never really proven, to me, which I'm just a peanut brain, just like anybody else. So the question, or like basically the effect that happened today, wasn't probably so much about pDAI being minted and sold, because the amount of pDAI that I was seeing reported as possibly being part of the normal working of the system, of this like collateral vault backing system of PMaker and pDAI and so on and so forth. Like, that amount of pDAI was like, tens of millions of pDAI, and maybe up to like no more than $2 million was sold, that was being, attributed to somebody who may or may not be minting more, versus the Atropa dev decided to go on YouTube and told everybody pDAI is not backed by Richard Hart, which, like, how would he know either way? I don't know.
Well, he also said that he hadn't talked to Richard Hart, and he also said he knows nothing about the maker contracts.
Right. So that's kind of a weird position to be in, because he was the one who was selling probably like hundreds of millions of pDAI, way more than the supposed, whatever, exploiter. Anybody saying I shilled pDAI and it's all my fault, you're going to be forever blocked. So just keep it up. But, yeah, there you go. Like, I've been back and forth on pDAI because I'm like here reporting what's happening. And, so that's cool. You're welcome for doing that.
Thank you.
I wasn't talking to you, but anyway, thanks.
Okay.
Nonetheless.
I don't count. All right.
Oh, you're just too kind. You're too kind. So the thing is that the Atropa dev, Maria, posting on YouTube about how Sami is part of the pDAI team, whatever that means, which, like, Sami was also confused by that.
Are these the underground people that live in the mountains in Colorado?
And then Maria, who also like has this very similar last name to Rackham Rochelle. It's like Maria Raquel or something. And I'm just, it's turning me into a conspiracy theorist. Okay. Raquel, who are these people who are, dumping the chain? But basically,
Are you saying that there's something to the names themselves and how they're related?
It's a mess. I got to tell you, it's a mess. But yeah. Anyway, so then Maria, the Atropa dev who sold hundreds of millions of pDAI today, was posting on YouTube something about how like there were guns in Kentucky and like people were selling clothes with chemicals on them. And it seemed a little bit like maybe some sort of like, you know, psychological event.
I just want people to know that I don't hate the mountains in Colorado.
Okay.
I was just repeating what I wrote, what I read.
Right. So, well, and yeah, okay. Fair enough. So, what this led to was, because there were so many liquidity webs happening with Atropa and everything else, and Crispy knows a lot about liquidity webs and liquidity and Hart's law and all these like cool things.
Apparently not enough, but go ahead.
This led, because pDAI was dumping, so that the Atropa dev could like risk off all of these burnt liquidity webs that they had created with like hundreds of tokens, if not thousands of tokens in serious size. I mean, this was a game that like, this was like a whole subculture of PulseChain was like relying on this, these liquidity webs. And there was significant pairing with all your favorite core RH tickers, and whatnot. And so, I mean, so I think this was a really good day to buy the discount on PulseX and Pulse and Inc. And because it,
terms, USD terms, fiat terms.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I turned it into a positive for myself, because I didn't know if we were ever going to see 4022 again for PulseX. People know I'm super bullish on PulseChain. I think even if the origin address or the sacrifice funds don't participate at all, which I think they could, but it only takes one shark in Ethereum to say, I don't want to go sideways forever. I don't want to eat bugs with Vitalik. It takes one shark.
One shark.
And I'm not even talking about a big shark. I'm talking about a little shark.
Does cricket powder count?
I'm not sure what that is.
Oh, protein powder made out of crickets. I mean, you said bug eating, you know.
That does not count. No. Well, it counts as you're eating bugs with Vitalik, but it doesn't count as like animal protein that we want.
we want. Hey, listen, you'll have your food cubes and you'll like them.
Right.
Don't worry. My soy flavored, well, actually it wouldn't be soy flavored, no flavor in soy. Soy is not too bad actually if you cook with it. But anyways, hey, you brought up a point about Atropa. Listen, there's so many things going on with this this situation, right? It's pretty wild, right? But I would like to say this: if you were managing a token, it is absolutely your job, right? You took on the job, you're managing the token, you're managing liquidity. It's absolutely your job to go look and figure out when things might be hurting the value of the token and to disconnect them.
True.
Right.
Yeah.
From that perspective,
True.
Taking action is pretty good. It's pretty good. Right. And so I think that's an important point when somebody's trying to actually manage a token. Now, some people did remove liquidity as this was going down, or the price was going down. Some did not. It depended on the timing. If you weren't sitting there watching the price go down, you might not have caught it. But those are still connected. There's been some recovery, right?
Oh yeah.
Now, I don't know the Atropa dev. I have listened. I've tried to read and comprehend, and I haven't done a good job of understanding most of what has been in the IRC or anything else, right? once in a while I understand a key word or two, right? Um, but in general, I found some of the discussion around the YouTube that he had put out, just kind of like negative for me, right? But I felt badly about it because I felt like it wasn't it wasn't consistent with the types of things that I've heard from that person before. Like
Mm.
perhaps I'm going to leave the chain. I'm
Mm.
going to bridge out. These types of things that just instilled more fear into people that were reading, between the lines, whether there were real messages there or not. Um,
Right.
but yeah, it was. But I think that was absolutely the right thing to be considering, right? And I know a lot of people were on the edge of their seats, right? Am I selling? Am I keeping my pDAI? And some might have sold a whole bunch. I still don't know, and I don't think I'll know for a while, if I ever do, what the motivation for all of this was, right? What's been going on. And I know there's going to be some really strong comments in the chat. That's okay. I'm open to it's a rug, overall big exploit, if you want to call it an exploit, and that's what's going to happen. And I'm also open to the incredible theory that the higher hand theory, right? I'm open to both of those ideas because you know what? I don't know. Just like I don't know what's going on in the Ukraine. I'm
Are
not
you
there.
talking about the invisible hand of the
Yeah,
market or something else?
well, the hand of OA,
Oh,
the hand of the OA. This idea, because there's all sorts of stuff going on, potentially. But again, me as an individual, at this point in time, I don't have the ability to verify any of this can happen or not happen, right? And
right.
I mean, I'm talking about the idea of pegging. I made a good joke this morning. I thought it was funny, anyways, that we were going to see pegging to 1 penny, because that would be pretty novel in itself. You probably accomplish a peg to 1 penny a lot easier than a peg to $1. Um, but I don't know the technical end of that, of what would have to happen for that. But I suspect that this has only galvanized the community even further into people who really hate the idea that it could peg, and the idea that people are wasting resources going after that, and people who love the idea that it's going to peg and believe it, and a whole bunch of people that are confused. I count myself somewhere in the middle of being confused. So I'll just watch what happens and see where things go from there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just like, hey, thanks for the cheap PulseX.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Like
dude, the volume was off the hook. Listen, I talked to you guys about stable pairs how many times, right? I brought it up enough that you know that I do stable pairs, right?
oh yeah.
And I've recommended to people in my circle that they establish stable pairs months ago, right? Just so they get the feel for it and see how things go. You know what didn't go down? Good stables.
Uh
They didn't move at
the
all.
good
But they
stables.
but the LPs, man, did they earn
Hey,
today?
hey, what do you mean by that? Isn't pDAI a good stable?
Well, remains to be seen. It's not pegged to $1 yet, right? So,
It's good at going up
yeah,
and down in price.
well, it's going up and down in
If you're,
price. That's
if
for
you're
sure.
into that sort of thing.
If you're into getting pegged, yeah, that's right.
Right.
There's a process.
Right. Well, I'm proud of everybody for sticking together and hanging in there. And I think it's okay, whatever you believe. Um,
And how you feel about it too.
yeah.
Because they could be two different things, right?
Um,
Beliefs sometimes overwhelm your actual feelings, right? Like somebody
right.
said to me, I forget the exact wording today. How did you handle? And it wasn't just to me; it was to a group. How did you handle this, right? And
That's a
my
good
answer, not
question.
not exact words, were poorly. I was physically sick for a little bit. There's good. So I'm sure there was other
From
people.
what? Did you have a lot of pDAI?
Um, no, and I'm just being honest with you. How maybe not everybody gets affected this way, but that just the here's another shoe dropping. Thanks, Maddie. Here's another boot dropping on my neck, as you talked about a few weeks ago. I'll blame you. It's your fault. Um, but here's another shoe. Are we ever going to get a break? Is this nothing but pain? On the chain. Now
Oh,
that
man.
that was my initial. That was my initial thing.
We're gonna get 1,000x.
Bang bang! What's up, everybody?
Bang, bang, bang. Yeah, I know we're gonna get. I know we're gonna get.
Look, in my first year as a YouTuber, Kareem may remember, Crispy may remember. Yes. I would say we're gonna get 1,000x, just because Bitcoin and Ethereum did it. Now I can tell you we're gonna get 1,000x because it literally only takes one little tiny baby Ethereum shark and Hart's Law to do the trick.
Little baby shark, and off we go.
And again, the funny thing is this, right? Like back in the day, and the way even Richard formulated it, it was like, this is just based on possibility. They did it. We have similar, slightly better tech. Why can't we do it? You know what I mean? When you're explaining like that, it makes sense. It's when you start making promises, it's absolutely going to do this and absolutely going to do that. And then that's when people get burned. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I hate to say, you know, that I told you so, but hey, this is literally the thing that, you know, got me some hate with some people in the community that I didn't like at the time, because I was like, don't use my name, tell me that I buy something that I didn't. And now, you know, the whole drama with the trope, I don't know if you guys went over it already, but it's like, it goes back to way back, man. I don't know if you remember, because I had that great report that I did about, you know, pDAI, basically DAI, about what Richard was doing, and, you know, buying the treasury and earning the yield while waiting for the bear market, which was genius. And then people started using that. Oh, Kareem is buying it secretly, even though I'm like, bro, I'm not buying it. Like, you know what I mean? I don't have to lie about it. I could just tell you I didn't buy it. But they would say, oh, no, he's lying, is this, is that, making all this shit. And here we are today. You know what I mean? Like, and I said it, things are not going to age well, but Father Time is here to remind everybody, because I literally said, you know what I mean? Like, pDAI is not die at the end of the day. Now, if you, you know, I'm going to give a little bit of credit to some degree. If you're one of those that do a lottery ticket and you're out there, you know, trading like a meme coin, hey, hopefully you're not wrecked. Or if you are, at least it was a lottery ticket. But if you're one of those that sold your bag to went over there like 100% or 50% or 30%, honestly, yikes. So,
well, look, somebody who bought pDAI at the top is not hurting anywhere close to as bad as somebody who bought Hex at the top. So
that's painful, man. Thank you.
Look.
I disagree, and here's why. Here's why. Because again, in terms of timing wise, right? The Hex dip already happened. It's the same people are getting liquidated. You're already down. And then what did you do? You sold your future to go buy the thing that then gets you right. Now you're super down. You're super fucking wrecked. And guess what? The yield now has closed. So the time of easy, free money, same thing when you're going there, oh, I'm just going to reload and get more yield. You're not going to get that because Hex has changed. You're not going to get that on PulseChain because the ink has changed. And fun fact, Hedron is pumping today. Why? Because
God bless it. People just love pumping stuff.
They have the auction.
That I hate.
Yes.
So here's the thing though. I don't have like a good position in pDAI. I probably have like none of it or something. And like at the same time, I still feel a lot of sympathy and empathy for the crowd of people, because that was one of the most exciting things, one of the most exciting narratives on PulseChain. And I think we have probably hundreds of people who are watching the show today, and that's what they were excited about.
Of
right?
course.
And so to me, I'm thinking to myself like, hey, welcome to crypto.
We love you.
We love you. Hang in there. If you can't,
can I do mine? Can I do mine?
Please, please.
Welcome to PainChain. We love you.
Right.
No, not PainChain.
But you know, the point is that the majority of people who get into crypto, and this is a statistical rule. You can call it Maddie's law if you want, but I don't know if that's gonna get me in more trouble than it's worth. But basically, what causes tops in Bitcoin and Ethereum and everything else is everybody getting in at the same time. And so statistically speaking, the average person in crypto gets in at a top. And so it's only by holding for multiple cycles, and it's only by learning the lessons of DCA, dollar cost average, and, you know, buy things that are long-term, you know, they have a strong community and all these other things, that's a lesson that not everybody's going to learn when they first get their first good gut kick, and beat down in in the price of something that they've bought. So
yeah. Well, I mean, if I may, I want to say a few things because I think there's a few distinctions that we have to make sure that it's fairly understood, and definitely we're probably gonna have another mini record viewership today because again, we've been here long enough to know every time there's something major happening, good or bad, well, people want answers, so that's why they want to come in. It's more than usual, so I want to make sure they get all the facts. So my main thing was obviously like I said earlier, this is not something new that I've said before in the past. And also B, and I've said that with Maddie all the time, and I reminded people even in Vegas, is that we are welcoming. We're not hating on nobody. Come build on PulseChain, all this other stuff. But we always preach, Crispy as well, hey, make sure, right? Lottery ticket, don't get lost in the sauce. Remember, the main thing is the main thing, because if you don't, it's very sad because situation like this happens. And then now you're reminded why you should have done what you have done if you're one of those that got caught up in those things. And this is just us trying to warn you before it happened, because we had to learn it the hard way too. So we want to share the information so that hopefully new people don't have to go through it. Now, some learn because they catch the wisdom, some don't, and then they're going to learn the hard way. But the silver lining is eventually, ultimately, they are going to run and learn it. And one more thing that I want to say is like the reason why what just happened is fishy in my book is because the kind of explanation that I heard about what was going on, besides just the mechanics, right? The way pDAI works, which is basically the way algorithmic stable coin works, like the same way DAI works. I have no problem with that. That to me is common sense. And somebody did a great video breaking those things down. It's the whole, hey, big wallet, blah, 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 dump money. Because at the end of the day, when we simplify it, when we remove the fluff, no offense, and the stories and the BS, what happened? A big wallet dumped. Somebody that you thought would be here for a while, and boom. And this is a friendly reminder that when we talk about core coins, when we talk about Richard Hart, when we talk about diamond hands for real, when we talk about being here for glory, for real, those are the reminder. We need to remember people like this is not just tongue in cheek, because that person just decided to be out. He could have waited. This is why I told people, like, we're gonna make fun of, staking or no staking. Well, when something is really, really stake, that really, really saves your ass when you can actually believe, because it's on the blockchain versus somebody's telling you, oh, they're not gonna sell, they're here for the long term, they're gonna take it to the dollar. And then you get reminded that no, it's just a meme coin. And you believe the hype, which is fine, but the fact that you believe that nobody's gonna sell, that's an issue. And that's something that I also raised by saying, hey, narrative looks good, story looks good. Richard directly or indirectly owns some of the coin because, yeah, the fork, this, that's fine, because, and it's okay if he doesn't say anything because he's not supposed to pick winners and losers, right? It's DeFi. So all that is cool. But the real IQ test is that the moment you start to believe that he's behind it versus just kind of letting it happen, you get reminded when the dumping happening, because you forget about all those other wallets who have shit ton of coins that can really, really hurt the price, because some of those meme coins, they have slightly bigger liquidity, but it's not like it's like hex level liquidity or like really big liquidity, which means, right, Matty, how much did the guy have? Like 100 million?
Look, the price going up and down doesn't tell you whether RH is in it or not. So I don't think like that particular point
that. I was
relevant.
saying in terms of when somebody was saying the number of coin, the billions, because remember, some of it came in from the fork, because the fork, remember, you get, when you have a bunch of stables, you get a copy of those things. They were just sitting in the wallet because from sacrifice money.
Look, there's all kinds of angles that people can pull on this. I just think it's suspicious that Just Ask Jesse is like, revealing all this 3 days before ink printer comes online. And like the people who are the most knowledgeable about that kind of a protocol, like Just Ask Jesse, probably want the price of ink to be really low when that launches. So
it's as simple as that. The moment this for everybody watching in the chat, let me make something very, very clear for you guys to understand. The way certain do certain things is like this. They can let a narrative run and be like, okay, cool, we're part of the team. But the moment the narrative, quote unquote, break and one of the ranking member or ranking start dumping, make no mistake about it. They're all running to the door. And at that point, it don't matter who started it, they're all exiting. So this is where it's like timing wise, it will look like Matty just said. But at the end of the day, it's a reminder that, remember, this was a narrative, this was a meme coin, and you just got reminded that that's why you have the main thing, and then you have the thing that you want to speculate on, but don't confuse it with the main thing. Or you will get burned again and you will learn again.
Right. So
On the
there you
funny
go,
note,
folks.
Ethereum might be pumping.
But hey, you want to know something else really cool that happened this week?
Go ahead.
The OA staked a shitload of hex. No
My
more
favorite
short-term
topic,
stakes. No
I
more
thought that's what we'll be talking
short-term.
about today. Before this.
Well, hey, there's all kinds of stable coins out there, and I think Fast Abdoul has made it public that he's launching something out there today.
I thought you'll be here today.
Well, maybe he'll pop on here at some point, but yeah, but I mean, probably the biggest news that we have out of the entire week is that the origin address and hex staked 250 billion hex.
Yep.
In like
What?
50 billion chunks, I think, or
What?
something similar to that, and did like
Not slightly less, but yeah,
the
because you did it
shortest.
over 10 years.
What the shortest was a year, and
I don't
there were
believe it.
and made a ladder all the way out to 15 years that
Yep.
it had already done before.
It's not possible.
They were all over well-bought. That
Not
was so
possible.
It's not possible.
It's still good because it really kind of like, again, put the haters in their place, because Manny first he was like, oh my God, so many coins, this, that. All right, cool. Then the guy stakes it because we've been saying for years it's going to be sold, which it wasn't sold. Then it's like, whoa, if it's not sold, what does he have it? Then he burns it. He does the rotation stakes. And then now he really parks it long way, which is really cool. Obviously, more t-shirt got created, but I just like it because it's creating like epochs now, because every chunk is a little bit what Godwell did back in the day when he started his ladder of like billion hex plus. Now those are like, I think on the low it's 15 to 20 billion, and on the high it's like 25 up. So it's like a really, really nice ladder.
Yeah.
For those who are, you got Crispy side, or if you go to apex.win, you get to see those bar charts over there too. It's really cool to watch.
Hey, one quick thing too about that. I erroneously thought, because I didn't see all the details yet, that APR would actually be down further on EHEX than PX, but it does look like the APR still is better on the EHEX than the PX. So they have that going on. But I gotta tell you though, Kareem, I mean, listen, I'm not giving up, and I'm still going to be staking my hex. But the job of trying to point out good things about staking hex now is very hard.
All the yield is going to come from EES once the price of PulseChain does
but
1,000x.
come on, man, let's apply the same rules. You can't just make stuff up that's going to happen that you don't know that's going to happen.
I think honestly,
just like this other stuff we talk about, right?
I'm not worried about the nominal yield. Like I've been saying many times, it's the bond math that's going to kick in. It's just, Ethereum need to get its shit together. For Ethereum to get its shit together, we need the business ISM to come back in. Tomorrow, we have the FOMC meeting, which is cool. We know they're not going to cut rate, but Federal Reserve Powell might seriously talk about stopping quantitative tightening. In other words, they might not yet adding money in the system, but just the fact that they stop removing money from the system, liquidity is going to be very, very bullish. That's one. Number two, gold is at 3,000.
Can I pause you? Can I pause you just for a second? Because I know you're going to talk about that. Let me just finish this thought, and I'm going to drop off for a minute. For you were saying, Maddie, I'm pulling your leg a little bit, right? On the whole thing about the OA, but seriously, people are like, this is a good thing because the OA in the future can do these emergency end stakes. We have no proof that's going to happen. Just like we were talking about how it was a good idea to stake because you're going to get this APY for the next 15 years, which obviously you're not, because the OA did something we didn't anticipate, and so that's the only reason why I went in that direction. Right.
No, I agree. I'll second on that. Always diamond hands of the diamond hands. Chances are the EES, and Maddie's right about that. It's not going to come from the OA. It's going to come from participating. Mark my words. After year 7 to year 10, when people hit that 50-year mark plus, and then hopefully, assuming the fact that the price start to hand in the right direction with bond math, then you will see those people start clicking buttons. So it will be a 3-stage. I literally can call this out because I know the behavioral pattern because I was there and I analyzed it. When we hit 10 cents and up, Hexicans change their behavior. All of a sudden, staking is literally where it's at. Yield can be low. Nobody cares. If you've been here long enough and you have a shit ton of coin, the moment you stack 3, 5, 10x, you're not going to be worried about the yield. You're going to be like, okay, cool. I mean,
I don't know. Yeah, maybe if you got Hex cheap, but if you're paying the expensive,
no, has nothing to do with that. I'm talking about somebody that's been here for years. That argument has sailed. That was back in the day. Now people have been collecting. Richard let, quote unquote, Richard OA let the yield low for 5 fucking years. I would not let people start to use that. 2 years ago, maybe, but now, no, there's no excuse. Plenty of time people would have come in. Plenty of ES happening. The price was low. We went lower than what we are now. We were lower than that way before those stakes are, and the people had plenty of opportunity. The question is, are they going to do it or not? Now, what's going to happen is, as we trend the other way, and again, assuming all the macro stuff hits, and we can talk about that, later in the show. But once they hit, and ETH is trending in the, I'm sorry.
Oh, finish your thought. I want to add a point to what Crispy said.
When all the macro hits, and then ETH is heading back to where it's supposed to be, then all of a sudden the liquidity comes back in, PulseChain hits the number it's supposed to hit, and then bonding liquidity rises all ship and bring us up. And for people watching, another easiest thing that Richard could do that people still don't understand, that's the beauty of having things like DAI, is that instead of selling the ETH, everybody keeps saying that sell the ETH. Sometimes it's the dumbest thing you can do. You just let the ETH valuation rise, and then you just print new DAI. It's what really the successful entrepreneur, billionaire, that's what they do. That's the Elon Musk style. You never sell the share.
Right.
You just keep borrowing against it. So with algorithmic stablecoin, things like DAI, let's say the SAC fund goes to $1 billion valuation, he doesn't have to sell a single ETH. He can just print DAI and then use that to add liquidity on the chain. This is the reason why we've seen it cycle by cycle. When PulseChain get a big move, it's usually because a lot of stable DAI especially gets bridged in. Right. Because ETH
I feel like you could keep going on, but let me just get a point in here about what Crispy said. He said that I don't know what people are going to do when it comes to emergency end staking. And my response to you, Crispy, on that is that, that's the same argument that people can use to say that they don't know that the Bitcoin network isn't going to double spend because they don't know what the people's behavior is going to be. And like one of the major breakthroughs in crypto, and some would call it game theory or game mechanics, is like this idea that sometimes against all odds, you can predict humans' behaviors ahead of time when the rules are set up in a certain way. And so my like semi-weak argument to you would be that I think we can understand what people's behavior will be if the price pumps. And I think that if anything, the sacrifice address or the origin address or whoever, like the hand of the market, as you said earlier, I think whatever it is, like that person is in a position, if as is anybody who has $300 million of anything, they could send it and they could activate the behavior.
Yeah, I'll say this one thing before I go.
And give you your yield.
There are people that are very upset right now, all right, over the fact that they lost the rewards they were getting, because very recently they made the decision to stake based on information like that, like the idea that you could get this APR, right? And the OA doesn't do things, right? The OA hasn't done things. And so I'm just flipping around the reverse. I'm saying, okay, let me learn from that. I'm not going to try to convince people they should stake because the OA is going to emergency end stake. That's all.
No. That was never the argument. But if people wanted yield, they could go get the DESI discount. So it's not like you didn't have a choice. It's just,
and there's an even better way. DESI's awesome. There's an even better way, but I'll have to tell you that when I come back.
Yes. I think, Maddie, to be fair, I think what Crispy was really focused on, because I do agree, was he was saying specifically what the OA will do, not the people. Because the people, I agree with you, it's easy for me because I've seen their behavior before and I've seen them change. I've seen them when they panic and they don't stay, they just want to dump. And I've seen them when they're comfortable, you know, aka fat and happy, and just live off the yield and live their best life. So that, because we have seen it before, we can project. The OA, we have seen just one behavior, which is diamond hand. Don't sell, keep it up, boom. And technically speaking, based on the rhetoric that's been given and the logic of really being, you know, De Beers and diamond hand, then it's kind of like, hey, I give you guys so much yield, right? That was your time. Now you lost it. I'm not going to give it back for free. So I'd rather raise the price, because sadly, as we also understood, is that the value of the yield is very hard to market that for people who are looking at charts all day, because we keep telling them that the value is there, but they don't see it in the chart because they never staked before. We have to literally, like, I have to show dream account to show, hey, this is where the value is, because in the chart, you won't see that. You'll be like, yo, Cream, you're wrecked. When the reality, no, I'm not. But again, this is where maybe that it's a worldview update, which was back in the day, yield DeFi season was really a thing. Now, because of this meme culture, no offense, and there's no more real delayed gratification, people want to be instant rich, shoot up the price, ha, 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 right? Vaporware, but if the sticker goes up, everybody's happy. Then now it's like, well, maybe we're going to focus less on the yield and then just let the price shoot up. And this is where the bond math comes in, because in order to do that, and interrupted by people who are sitting on so many, let's say, very fat yield, and then they won't let the price go, because every time the price trying to initiate a pump, they're the ones selling it down, because, you know, they're not here for glory like us. They're just here to, like, yo, maximum extraction. And by the way, I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying, once you realize that this is what's happening, then you want to shut off the valve for those people to kind of push them exit stage left, keep the long believer long term. And then by the time we flush out the people who are just here as tourists, and we pump the price, and yes, they're going to dump, but they're going to dump only once, because then they don't have new coins every time with the high yield. Then by the time we reach glory and all this other stuff, you can turn back on the funnel of the yield. Easy peasy. Like, it's just, that's why I'm not worried about it, because when we're talking about 10, 15 year stake, it don't matter when you get the yield. You can get upfront, you can get it a little bit every year, or you can literally, like, have nothing, and then the last year, boom, you start getting a shit ton of it. So that's what's really important. And one more thing, this is also what gives valuation for something like Hedron, because Hedron is able to pump because the hex and the EHEX, because the yield over there is smaller, is getting more scarce. Therefore, it gives valuation for Hedron to pump. So does that make sense? So those are the things that people need to really, really think about. And of course, when we hit that 7.5 year mark, which is what, 2.5 years from now, or I mean less than 2 years, because Hex 6-year anniversary is in 6 months, right? More or less. So once in another year and a half,
December.
Yeah, December. Thanks. In about a year and a half, we will see that behavior of the people who hit their halfway mark. So, but yeah, but also the fact that the price rising up, people might just be like, hey, maybe I'll press the button. I don't think it's going to come from the OA, because the OA probably expect those people to provide the liquidity by pressing the button, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Somebody say Kareem did not catch the pDAI dip. Hey, listen, pDAI is all yours, guys. You know, like we talk about it all the time here on Charles Abdoul. Like, by all means, I just don't want people to get wrecked. So go play, but I just wouldn't put all my eggs in that bag. That's all. But hey, if you cut the dip, shit, good for you. The same way Maddie said it perfectly. Some people cut the dip on the Pulse. I think PulseChain hit like 0019. One of my friends caught it at 19, Maddie. It's crazy. Because of the bounded liquidity, when whoever the name of the pDAI guy that dumped the price or whatever. Because I pushed it down, yeah.
I got my dream buy-in at 4022 for PulseX.
You see, instant what? 50%?
No, we're not. No, we're up. Yeah, 10 or 15%.
Maddie, mark my word. By the end of the week, if everything goes well, quick little macro. Like, if we potentially, I don't want to get excited. If we get the good news potentially tomorrow,
get me excited. It's okay.
If Jerome Powell just hint that he's gonna potentially stop quantitative tightening, which for those who don't know, he's removing 90 billion with a B of liquidity every single month. because that's what they were doing when they were raising the rates. They were doing.
Is that what they mean by tightening? Because they haven't changed the interest rate, so I don't know why we're in QT. Why do I keep saying that?
Because it's two step. QT means quantitative tightening. I'm removing liquidity. So they were doing two things. They were raising rates and they were removing the liquidity at the same time. Then they got to a point where they stopped raising the rates because the rates are sufficiently restrictive, so basically high enough in simple English, but they were keeping removing the liquidity. Imagine kind of like suction, like, you know, it's flooding. It's like we build a dam to avoid more flooding to happen. Now that we build the dam and the dam is high enough, now we need to take care of whatever water, the flooding that already passed through the dam. We have to take care of that until we dry it out, and then we can push the dam down, because that's how we get to lower the inflation. This is why I tweeted when I said, yeah, the inflation came down lower than expected, 2.8 instead of 2.9. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, but it's still far from the 2.4 and 2.3 we were 6 months ago. The mandate say we need to be close to 2%, people, not 3, which means they got to keep sucking the thing out. They stop raising rates because they don't want the system to crack, because then if it cracks, then you have to pump liquidity back in. So you basically, all the hard work you've been doing, it's for nothing. So they stop that. They slightly to lower the rate, which is good, but they can't lower it more, because remember, I told people it's about the nominal inflation. If inflation is close to 3%, you can't have the yield below 4% or below 3.5, because if not, you become like freaking Europe. You're getting negative real interest rate. In other words, if I'm paying you 4, but I'm taking away 3 via inflation, at least you're winning on that 1% of true yield. But if all of a sudden I'm basically giving you 3 and taking 3 from inflation, now you're not making any money. And then Japan is our number 1 buyer, but they're not buying the treasury like they used to. China is definitely selling the fucking treasury. So now it's like, yo, where are we going to get this money from? And just like third world country, that's why they have crazy interest rate. When the market is just supply demand. If not enough people buy the treasury, the rate has to go up to attract more buyer, right? Just like we know in bonding math in crypto or in hex, it's like the yield has to rise to try to attract people to come and buy and stake, right? So, and if that doesn't work, then you got the Federal Reserve to be the buyer of last resort. But when they do that, it becomes crazy inflationary, because they literally printing the money out of thin air in order to pay that. So China is not buying. Japan is not buying, but at least it's not selling the bond like China is doing. So now we're literally counting on the rest of the world to really come and get it together. And then to add insult to injury, we have $5 trillion, possibly 7, that we have to refinance this year alone by the end of the year. Plus, we have the fiscal budget that we have to take care of, which is in the trillions too. Anywhere from $2 trillion, I think, roughly.
That is an insult.
Yeah, I mean, so now the market knows that, so they're sniffing it out, saying until we get confirmation that Powell is about to get in and turn on global liquidity, we're not gonna get in. We need somebody to scare us. In other words, imagine you need somebody like the OA comes in and say, all right, guys, I'm taking the yield, I'm staking. Now everybody want to rush and stake before the yield goes down. Versus now they don't even know what's gonna happen. They think yield might go up. They're waiting for the signal from the Fed. The signal hasn't come up yet. He keeps saying we're going to go meeting by meeting. He's not really giving it up, which, to be fair, he has a tough job. So I think he's doing okay, because inflation is still here. We haven't beat that animal yet. We're borderline stagflation. And if we don't, and that shit's
he's like the drug dealer at the party. How hard can his job really be?
It's like you got people so messed up that now they're not even responding to the drug. So now you just need to avoid them to OD. So you're trying to be like, no more. I'm not giving you anymore. You're good now. You lit already. Just go have fun, okay? And then come back to me when you're sober or when you're like whatever. And then you get your next round. But right now you won't. But that's what's been happening, man. So global liquidity is going up, but it's primarily coming from China, because they have real crisis over there, and Europe, which is also in crisis. So when people are like, look, Cream, global liquidity is going up. Yeah, but that doesn't matter, because we need US to stop printing, because that's the big money. That's the money that actually matters, because most of global debt is in dollar term. And they're literally sucking money out. As Europe is pumping money in with China, the Federal Reserve is covering his ass by removing the liquidity. But to be fair, they're doing that because by deleveraging the balance to some degree, when the next crash happens, they can go back and buy some more. But if you already bloated and you blow your load, excuse my French, then this like when the time to perform comes in, you can't do nothing. So that's where it's like They have to wait for that. So tomorrow, potentially, we can get that signal. Again, it is not a guarantee. You guys know me. It's about probability. It's 50-50. But the market might be sniffing that because we know in May there's a rate cut based on the dot plot. This month, there is no rate cut, but May, there's going to be a rate cut, which then means this month, aka tomorrow, he might announce that, all right, we might start doing some quantitative tightening interruption. And if that happens, the market is going to love it, and then shit's going to start pumping again. And again, gold's been pumping because of the uncertainty of the market. So people go to gold. It really is that safe haven for that reason. But at the same time, when Bitcoin went from 60K to 90K, what happened before, Matty? Gold was pumping to 2,600, and then the money rotated out of gold went to Bitcoin. That's the beauty of stock market and ETF. All the gold and the money, it's like they have their own bonding liquidity. They just need to press a button, and then the guy sell the gold ETF, and then he buys the Bitcoin ETF. And next thing you know, billions of dollars flood back in, and the next thing you know, the party is restarted. You know what I mean? So this is where it's like I told people, it's like technically speaking, we were not looking good. That's why we fell out of the parabola. That's why we also had the Wyckoff distribution pattern, which I called out, and then everything went down. But I told people it's 90%, but it's not 100% yet that we're in a bear market, because technically speaking, the 50 and the 200 moving average needs to cross to be in a bear market. And technically, hasn't happened yet. We're in a bearish trend. But like I said many times, for many years, you can have a bear trend in a bull market. Let me say it again. You can have a bear trend in a bull market, which we are all now. The same way you can have a bullish trend in the actual bear market. So you can have bear trend in a bull market, or you can have bullish trend in a bear market. Like sometimes when people fall for those fake out, we're like, oh, look, we're back. And then the rug gets pulled under you. Like those dead cat bounce who are very, very vicious. And that's those things we want to avoid. So as of right now, Matty, unless you want to talk about something else, I don't want to go full macro yet. Unless, is there something else?
Well, look,
do housekeeping first, maybe.
I have been trying to explain to people that Ethereum is going to go sideways for 10 years. And, so we have half a GUI right now. But let me just remind you, like, why this wouldn't be such a bad thing. Because then the tech aliens like Vitalik, they can get their network where it's affordable and reliable and, like it's not a broken, decentralized world computer. Great. Mm-hmm. If they want to be the low fee chain, we'll let them have it. If they want their gas token to be the same price forever because they're allowing L2s to come in and eat their lunch, well, at least they're not destroying people's store of value the same way that they could be, the same way that they could have done in 2021 if they really wanted to. But in this case, like, I don't know. I'm calling it. I could be wrong. I'm not saying this with like a great certainty, but for me, I've even sold like my fake Ethereum that I had in my retirement account that I bought back when ETH was like $500 a pop in the grayscale Ethereum 50% discount at the end of 2022. So like, I'm really, really, really distancing myself from Ethereum right now because I think PulseChain is the place that is designed for price appreciation of the base token. And as I pointed out in one of my Twitter posts this week, it only takes 1 out of 1,000 units of Ethereum to send PulseChain somewhere in between 1,000 and 1,000x and 2,500x. I wanted to like, do the responsible thing of like giving the lowest number really is the headline. And then you really have to dig in to the receipts that I posted along with that. But this idea that only one low level shark, which could be the sacrifice address, or it could be any other shark in the game, all it takes is one of them. And I'm basing the amount of X's we're getting off of what we got last year. in this ecosystem when liquidity was 3x higher. And I know Kareem likes the force multipliers. So I'll bring up the concept that if you deploy, if you deploy 15 times X the capital, I don't know if it'd be 12X the capital or 15, something like that, compared to what we saw, the $20 million in 2024 they got deployed in the 2 months from the end of the Hex conference on January 9th, 2024 to the middle of March, 2024, you got a solid 10X in your RH tickers. And that's because $20 million was deployed.
Exactly.
Which was also matched by about $20 million of retail between like the Godwell and everybody else. So I'm being really conservative when I'm warning you.
Yeah.
And I'm, why didn't I tell you harder? I'm telling you as hard as I can that it's 1,000X that you're going to see if one shark comes in, and there's already one shark that shows that it likes buying these assets, and it caused the basis for this calculation. So imagine the psychological trauma that the Ethereum sharks are going to go through if the price keeps going sideways for another year, for another 6 months, for another 3 months. Like eventually 1 out of 1,000 of those guys, they're going to crack, and we're going to be there to pick up the pieces. And that's why I'm so bullish on PulseChain.
No, absolutely. And then to add more clarity, I think there's a couple of things here to unpack, which are really good. And for those who remember one of my old tweet too, which I explained in about one of the macro update, it literally looks exactly almost like right around after when Hex was created, but still in that first year, you know what I mean? Past the launch phase, this, that, right around when I come in and right around when Godwell came in. Ethereum was coming down from the $1,200 peak, the euphoria. I remember it just like it was yesterday. Same bullshit. Niggas got complacent. Oh, we made it. I mean, I get it. First time you make $100 million, you never thought this idea would turn into something. Now you're like, whoa, we're chasing Bitcoin. The liquidity between ETH and Bitcoin are really bonded. Bitcoin is doing well. ETH is doing well. And technically speaking, Bitcoin is also doing well because ETH is doing well. It was an ICO phase, all this other stuff. But then people who are just 100% crypto business, this, that, then the price started going down. Then everybody thought, oh, $600. Yeah, okay, 50% retracement. It should only be here. And then it went sideways for a while. And then the crack door opened and Ethereum dropped below 600. I will never forget. Even panic sale all over to 300. Now people start questioning, wait a minute. Is this really the future? What is going on? Da, da, da. People who were just resting on their laurels, who realized that they stopped coding. They were just at conferences, right? And then a lot of businesses went out of business. And then they were forced to literally revamp themselves or die. So he went to that toughness. And I think this is when Godwell got in, because he just put the 10,000 ETH. It's like, yo, this Hex thing, great idea, right? Pure DeFi. There was DeFi season. We were in the right saga, clearly superior to Ethereum in terms of like, yo, we on Ethereum, but this smart contract is like, wow, because Richard obviously put in the work and the devs and so good. So money came in, and that's how onboarding became easier, because now people just stop, and myself included, because we thought, Ethereum is a savings account, just put in there. It kind of, goes up better than the S&P 500. You're making money, you get the yield, hallelujah. But then when that narrative started to get challenged and Hex showed up, boom, all of a sudden it opened more door for possibility, because people opened their mind that, oh shit, this might not be it. And I think we're getting to that same phase this time around. And now, because, they fuck with us with the gas fee and all this other stuff before, now we got PulseChain. Now we got the lower fees. And then, like Richard perfectly been talking about it at Museum, they made the mistake of shipping all the potential, token economics valuation to the layer 2. Now they're basically the layer 2's bitch. And then now it created all this thing where
I think that's by design.
Yeah, literally, you're losing the valuation. And then also, again, the culture, we're not trying to win. We're trying to be friendly to everybody.
Right.
You sound complacent to me. You sound like somebody that's literally think you already won.
But they want the network to work.
That's true.
They want low fees. You can't have high gas fees and low usage fees. Like it's exactly. You have to pick. You have to be the store of value or the decentralized world computer.
here's a fun fact, right? Because I'm watching these things at a million. This could be the silver lining because they actually have a hard fork that's coming up this year, I think next month. And then now, because they're feeling the heat, they instead of having once a year hard fork, now they're going to try to have twice a year. Because again, the tech is good. They're just so lazy at just implementing fast enough because they think, once again, we got all this money. Everybody loves us. They're going to love us forever. We don't have to innovate. This is why, again, Solana, love it or hate it, they at least have that balls to the wall mentality where, yo, we got to keep innovating or we're going to lose the user. And when you operate a business, that's what you got to do. Like me, I've always had that mentality, like, go get it. I see dips. I'm like, yo, where can I make more money? Okay, cool. How can I get new cash? Boom. Today I was like there, hustling, grinding. I'm like, oh, we're jumping like, oh shit, if we do this, we complete this in a month, boom, we can make another $10,000. Let's go. Like, you got to have that mentality versus, hey, we're just going to chill. We're just going to wait and all this other stuff. No. So first good thing they did, I'm going to give them a benefit of the doubt. They did fire the CEO. They did all the changes stuff. That's good. They want to accelerate the upgrade. They potentially next month are getting the staking included into the ETF. Believe it or not, that's a big deal because more money will come now almost at the same pace as Bitcoin because the ETF people, especially people from the bond market, they're literally slave to the yield. They fall in love with yield. Anything yield, especially native yield, they might decide to start parking some money over there because remember, their business, they don't care about the price. It's about asset under management and collecting their fee. And then they're going to just sell people on, hey, give me your money. I'm going to put it here. You get
but if you want to make money in Ethereum, the move is to buy PulseChain because Ethereum's not going to do a 10x.
Here's the caveat. Only
it's not going to do 100x.
Only if you're pure DeFi, which is what you should. Because when you do that, you have to worry about what you just talked about and the trading fee and whatever. But no offense, some of the big guys and institutions, they don't care about that. They're going to be trading that shit on the exchange. I know it's fucked up to say, but it's the truth. They're going to trade that shit on the exchange. They're going to buy it on the ETF. The moment the ETF gets staking, it means I don't have to go to DeFi. I can just stay here, buy the thing, low fee, stack it, put the billion, get to look cool on TV, look at my P&L, boom, boom, boom. I'm a hedge fund manager, blah, 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 and I'm collecting the 3%. Oh, you're going to have the best story. And if that happens, Ethereum might start catching a bigger bid than Bitcoin, as crazy as it sounds. Now, Ethereum is still going to have the same problems. This is where I think it's genius to kind of like wait and see. That's why Richard did what he did, which is smart because sadly, PulseChain is not in the ETF right now. If PulseChain was in the ETF, yeah.
But think about it. Think about it in terms of like price escape velocity. Let's say that Ethereum does a 10x.
Yes.
Does that mean that PulseChain can do 10x more with
easy.
the same?
Easy.
No, because of how the liquidity laws work and because of how the math works on AMMs, the more success that Ethereum has, there will be exponentially more success in PulseChain.
That's what I said. It's going to be more.
Yes.
That's easy. I think literally easy.
Yes.
It's a move as a function of a square, Matty. If ETH gets 10x, we get 100x. You can print this, snap this, cream set it, clip it. I'm taking this to the bank all day, every day. Because the PulseChain ETH ratio has already flipped the other way. The same way I told people in the bear market, stop looking at dollar term. Look at hex to ETH ratio. That thing has already trending the other way. It's literally, we're only where we are because ETH is shitting the bed. Yes, part of it, half of it is their fault, like Matty perfectly pointed out, and Richard too. But to be fair, this is the first real fucking bear market Ethereum had to go through, which I hope it act like another wake-up call, like the one they had when they were start to slow down on that, when they had the $1,200 ETH and they thought they made it, and then they almost got washed out because Ethereum went all the way down to $80. And at some point, people thought, oh my God, we might not be able to be a business anymore. And then they got saved by the VC, and then the thing came back. So hopefully they get that same wake-up call, because if that's not the case, then they're really going to get fucked. So hopefully they get that, and the ETF is going to help, and then escape velocity push to the right way. Because remember, the real world asset thing is still going to happen.
Do you want to know how much the OA is down? Let's say the sacrifice address. How much is the sacrifice address down in PLS terms?
Oh, that I don't know. But
it's not. It's up in PLS terms.
Exactly. Good job.
Okay. So that's kind of crazy. The fact that like you can look at the OA bags and say, oh, it's down 50% in Ethereum. Well, if that's the one shark that we need to get our 1,000 to 2,000x, well, maybe it's a good thing that the price of Pulse is so low right now, because really that's where your opportunity is. And I think, you know, that's something also that people have been posting on Twitter that I think it's a hot take and a good perspective and good game theory, is this idea that, like, yeah, right now we're witnessing some of the lowest prices of PulseChain ever. You don't think that that's going to be the bragging point when we go up 10x, 100x,
Oh, big time. And one more thing
1000x?
too.
It's going to be measuring from the bottom, not measuring from the top.
And one more thing too, when things go down a lot as a beach ball, it's gonna go back even faster. And when it goes back, it's gonna do bigger high, because just like I forget the name of the website when you can go and you calculate liquidity plus injection and you can calculate how many X's you can do or whatever. Because
Pampy.app.
people don't understand is that
Or
the messed up
Pampy.
part is when people panic sell. Remember, they're selling the bottom. Like again, I'm not just picking. I'm just going to be just explaining something that's very important. I'm not picking up pDAI. Honestly, if you lost money, honestly, half of me want to tell you I told you so. The other half say, you know, I feel bad for you. That's true. But the reality is, like, this is the scenario that also creates cycles, because a lot of that money got sold at the low. Just think about it. Like, a lot of that PulseChain was low. Then they went over there to die. Then the thing crashed. Then the thing got swapped back to the PulseChain and sold again at the low, because the bonding liquidity, that's the only place you could sell it for, because any other place, the slippage would get even worse. But what that does is that a lot of money of a bunch of people who originate probably from Hex or some other places, now it's selling at the low, which means the lower the price go, the more coins are burned or taken out of circulation at a very, very low price. And God forbid, wink, wink, we all know the liquidity of last resort is the OA, because that's just how PulseChain is set up, right? Because everything is bonded, and the biggest pair is PulseChain, PulseX. So when all that exit happened, all the prices went down, because obviously the liquidity is bonded. But that basically tells me that, you know, OA got a lot of PulseX at a very, very cheap price, which then tells me if those coins never go back to circulation and the liquidity keep getting smaller and smaller, just like it happened now, EHEX and PHEX have almost the same liquidity now, which is actually really good in terms of low enough. Next thing you know, when the money really, really comes back, like we talked about, like when ETH can go sideways all he wants, but you just need to go back to 3K, man, 3 to 4K. The same power we were waiting to get when, oh my God, ETH go to 10,000, we're going to get X amount of X. Maddie, I'm telling you right now, with half the ETH valuation, we can get there, because so many coins got lost, or should I say sold at the low. The same pricing power in terms of multiple we needed with a, let's say, $8,000 Ethereum, we can get there with maybe a $4,000 Ethereum, because so many coins got removed out of the situation. So many Hex got sold, Ink, PulseTech, all this other stuff. And now the yield has been reduced, which now means if you're a real rider, you're going to catch this. If you're not a rider, or you blow your stack, then you're going to get left behind. And we all know too, that's when the human behavior comes in, you know, psychology. When the real pumps start happening, all the people who are sitting on the sideline, they're going to jump back in. Well, guess what? They're going to jump back in on a low liquidity meaning compared to what it used to be, which then amplified the pump even more. Just like it happened with Hex. Everybody thought, oh yeah, it's not going anywhere. Then he did the 100X. And then when he cracked that penny, people went crazy because of the holy shit, the penny. And then look how fast it went to 50 cents. Like with a quarter of the time that it took to get from, you know, all-time low to the penny, right? Think about it. It took about almost, 2 years to get to the penny. And then in 5 months, almost 4, we went to 50 cents. So this same type of play is going to happen, because this is why I'm literally scrambling everywhere I go. I'm doing all kinds of job, whatever, and being out there. You know, I posted, you posted a video earlier today. We were grinding, doing some work. I'm like, yo, yeah, I'll do whatever it takes. 10K, yeah, I'll go get it. Because I understand, like you were saying earlier, how low the prices are. And if I'm playing the long-term game, and if I'm understanding the macro, which I'm literally out here teaching people, then it's like, yo, this is going to happen. And then the validity is important. I'm not talking about something that I'm not doing myself, because like when I look at EHEX price, like for people who don't know, the price is almost exactly where I first bought Hex money. Let that sink in. That's how cheap it is. Obviously, PHEX is, 2-3 times higher than that. But it's like when I see that, I'm like, whoa, you can scoop 1 million Hex for 2K. I know, yeah, not everybody got 2K, but the point of the matter is like when there's a will, there's a way. If you're out there hustling, you can get that. And I'm talking about like for those who are new here, who didn't know my story. When I first got to Hex, you know, I told you I took the 401k money and whatever. I put about $30,000, and then I hustled for 9 months to put another 80K to make a six figure, and then he turned into like 30 million and plus. And at the top was like $50 million, whatever. But the point of the matter is like now I get to reload, and the stack is good, but I can buy more at the low because I can, number one, get back the stake that I lost. Remember,
it just went. Hex just went to new all-time high on this simulator with only $38 million put in,
Right.
and that was split. That was 38 million split into 4 different assets. Sorry, continue.
No, you're right. Which then means in terms of asset term, you need probably half that. Because remember, it's square. We don't want to say liquidity 30 mil. That means you need 15 mil from this, 15 mil from that. So let's say divide by 4, it's even less because they're all bonded. So for those watching, what Maddie just said is like, this is just easy math. Let's say the number was 40 mil instead of 30 mil. That means if you put 10 mil on each of those assets, PulseX, whatever, because some people come in, they want to buy Pulse. Some people want to buy PulseX. Some people want to Inc. So if 10 on each goes in, boom, it just pushes it as a force multiplier. Or sometime when you see OA action, you see like, $2-3 million gets bridge. Then you see, okay, 400,000 goes here, 300,000 goes there. But then when you add it all together, it's like the whole liquidity, because it's bonded, went up 1.52 million bucks. And then the price is doing 30-50%. Like it's nothing. Which means like we can quickly go back up. And then this is just a nightmare. And people wake up, it's like we're back to business. The same way those who are rage dumping also gets wrecked by slippage. So I keep reminding people, it's literally done by design. So if you're trying to panic exit, you get wrecked. That's the point. You pay the price of the slippage. But if you want to buy the low, or especially for the long-term gain, then you'll be like, yo, you'll be set. And that's the whole point. The same way people panic about this whole, the judge extension thing. I'm like, bro, that's basic stuff. And she cares about it. She's not going to change her mind, guys. I'm telling you right now. Take it to the bank. Click this. Why? Because, by the way, she took so much time to come up with that report and that final judgment. You think she just took a sweet time and didn't really thought about this? No, she wanted to make sure it's bulletproof, ready to go. And guess what? By allowing the extension, it doesn't mean that she's changing her mind. She's allowing the extension because if not, the SEC could argue, oh, she's biased. Oh, she's not giving us the time that we need to, because the same thing like the Bitcoin ETF stuff. You can be allowed extension. That's normal. That's like lawyer shit. That's like it happens.
Kareem, we could get $1.90 hex if just all the hexicans that fucking bought a bunch of luxury goods, in the past 5 years, if they just like sold their luxury, if you sell all your Lambos, like Super Hex Win was saying in the chat here, he says he wants to sell his. If I sell my DeLorean,
there you go.
It's that we're only talking about 1,500 people putting in 50K, and that gives us like $2 hex or like $1.50.
Maddie, I tell you what, right now, again, click this. The thing that we're doing right now, if everything goes well, me and John, we're about to go to Tennessee, right? We're about to frame another house and do it, and then we're going to do record speed. We might be able to do this in like 2-3 months. We do this, but that's easy, 50, 75K profit right there. Boom. What do you think we're going to do with it? Like, it's just like there's so much opportunity because, again, like I keep reminding people, guys, the fundamental haven't changed. That's why I keep telling people, the fundamental haven't changed. The same way we go out of our way to be every Tuesday. Weeks ago, when I told you guys that Bitcoin is going to go down, it wasn't to create panic. It's just for you to be prepared so that you can hopefully salivate and buy the dip. Because again, Bitcoin goes down. What does that mean? Ethereum goes down. Like I said, if this works out, boom, and they don't get out of here, when I used to say 60%, then the next week, then I say, guys, 70 to 80%. Look at the M formation. Boom. Look at the Wyckoff distribution pattern. And then if it goes down, boom, it's going to close the CME gap. What did it do? Boom, it went right there. Close the CME gap. And what did I say? If you close the CME gap, Ethereum is going to go below 2K. What happened? Boom, Ethereum went below 2K. It's not for you to be scared. It's for you to be like, all right, cool. If ETH go to 2K, what's my contingency in terms of how can I take advantage of this dip? It's not for you to be like deer in the head, like, oh my God, ETH is going down. Like, no, it's understanding the macro. And it has nothing to do with the, Trump tariff, this, that. Narrative will always follow the price after the price is already going down. The technical was already telling us, and then we knew the business ISM wasn't there because I talked about it. We knew inflation was high, and Uncle Jerome Powell is not doing anything about it at the time. And we knew they were not about to raise the rates. Lower the rates. So it's like everything was already baked in. You know, DXY was high at the time. So it's like, understand that, capture it. Now, obviously, for some people watching, yes, you know, I do feel bad to some degree. You know, this pDAI thing came out of the left wood. Nobody could have, you know, not said nobody, but it's hard to predict those kind of things. But this is the reason why we say, hey, play those games, lottery ticket, because so many inconsistencies or random stuff can happen that you have no control over. I mean, you're already in fucking crypto, guys, for crying out loud. It's already risky as it can get. And we're doing our best to give you all the ammo so that you can protect yourself. And now you go and doing more riskier stuff, and now you're in the casino, and then you're wondering why you're getting wrecked. Like, no, like you should make sure that keep the main thing the main thing. Somebody said that in the chat. It's a quote of the night. Yeah, go have your fun, but keep the main thing the main thing. That's true. If there's one thing you can take out of this for today, remember that. It's very important, because when you have that foundation, you can do what Maddie and I was talking about. You see, those are the core coins. You're looking at it live. If you bust your butt and you focus on that, your glory will come. They have bonding liquidity. Yes, maybe one of the four is going to pump harder than the other one, but you're blessed to understand that it's usually not that far from each other, right? It's like nobody's going to complain if, you know, if Hex do a, you know, 50x and then PulseChain do a, you know, 100x and then PulseX do 75x, or, you know, or like nobody's going to be like, oh my God, I only got 75x. This guy got 80x. Like, what the fuck? No, you're going to be like, I'm winning. And then maybe halfway through, you take some of your winning and then you diversify. Like one of my friends, that's what he did. Because in the beginning, he wasn't early enough to be in the PulseChain sacrifice. You know, it is what it is. But he came heavy on the PulseX sacrifice. And next thing you know, he got himself some Pulse. And then now he's adding more money. And then he's looking at which one is cheaper, which one he has less of. And then you stack. The same way I know people who have Mad Pulse, PulseX, Inc. too, but they have almost 0 Hex. And they're like, yo, price is low enough. Go get you some. Like,
yeah, something I'll point people's attention to in this simulator that you're seeing on the screen is like the price of PulseX has far exceeded the price of Pulse, which the market could decide based on, you know, the liquidity web that's set up between these four assets and whatnot. Yes. And then another thing,
buy and burn.
Yeah, and that's never happened to like this extent that we're predicting that it will, because mostly the gas token on the chain is like the most valuable market cap. But in this case, you would have seen already before you even got to probably 100x, where PulseX is becoming more valuable. And that's because of its deflation and because of the design here. So that's worth pointing out. But we also see that Hex is like appreciating the most. Now, the reason why I think that would be balanced out a little bit more is what we were talking about earlier in the program when it comes to people emergency end staking. So that creates a certain amount of inflation that could pull this number in half at times. If Hex is getting to $1 or $2 or $5, like people are going to sell it down. There's going to be more volatility in that one compared to the others. But because of the liquidity web that may exist between all of these, when people sell Hex, they're going to be selling a small portion of these other tokens through their bonded pair, and it'll balance itself out to some extent. So I think Hex is the one where, yeah, it without considering the emergency end stakes and without considering the yield that just got taken away for good reason, that would have been bouncing around in volatility way more on this list than it will now that the yield has been cut so much. But you're still going to see the yield from the past 5 years get EES'd, and then there's going to be a huge yield in penalties that's paid to the people who kept their promise. And that so if we had a fifth category on here, which was to be a staker,
yeah,
I think that is the one that's going to pay the most.
I do the math now. You take the X number and then you multiply by the yield that we've been getting anywhere from right now.
Right.
I'm being genuine, 3 to 5x the stack already. So you can take this number and you can multiply by 3 to 5x. It's how insane it is. And I will add one more caveat too, because what Maddie says is very spot on. But then also, it's a little bit contrarian, but it could also happen. Remember, the yield got removed, like Maddie said, which means no more gains. If you get to that point that you want to ES, good for you, but no more game. That means it really is gone. There is no like back in the day, oh, I ES, but look, I'm going to wait for the dip and look at the yields are high. I'm going to get it all back. We've seen some people do that in a crazy bear market. They got extremely lucky. They sold near the top, whatever. The yield was still high, and they were able to buy back the button and then stake and then catch up to some of the OG one. But that ship has sailed, because not only you have to literally sell the top, buy the bottom, which is almost impossible to do, but then on top of that, to catch up to the guy that's already running, you need to get the same amount of T-share that he has. Good luck with that, because it's already 5x higher, because all your pre-big payday T-shares are gone. When you press that button, you lose those as well. Don't forget that.
Bye-bye.
So the moment you press the button, your profitability just got cut by 5. Then after that, you need to sell top, buy bottom. Good luck with that. That's also risky, trader. And then on top of that, the regular yield, you're not going to get those anymore, because the days of getting, crazy APR, especially with a shitty T-share rate, are going to make it even more shittier. So it really begs the question, when the price starts to pump, when you press that button, do you really understand what you're losing? So I know some are going to still press it no matter what, but I think, Maddie, it's worth putting in the equation that the probability and the number of people that would have pressed the button before the OA action has now tremendously decreased. The same way the people who are dumping their ink nilly-yilly, now all of a sudden, hey, you're not getting that easy ink every day by the hundreds and the thousands. Now, it literally drip, 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 which means your behavior has to change. So that's very, very important to point out as well. So Hex is known for diamond hands, which means as the price goes higher, the liquidity gets lower. And if nobody sells and people really diamond hand 10, 15 years, it's going to be the most scarce shit on earth. Because remember, when PulseX pump and Pulse pumps and Ink pump, they don't have crazy staking mechanism like Hex. No, because the same people who never experienced 100x before, they're going to buy PulseX, Pulse, Ink. And when they experience their 100x money, you got to factor that in too. You don't know how they're going to behave. They might just say, fuck this, I'm selling.
We've got a great question by Rage, who's asking, with the OA staking recently reducing the APR, does this mean existing long stakes that are already in play will be reduced, or does it only affect new stakes from after the OA? Well, what we know is that your yield is calculated every day.
Yep.
But here's the part that we're trying to educate people on now, and I can give you some cool data. So when I created Time Pays Me, which is a way for people to time lock, I had originally designed something where people could early end for a penalty that was paid to the people who kept their stakes, and it would be used for like any asset. And back then, I did a calculation to ask myself, out of all the emergency end staking that had ever happened in Hex, what was your APY on just that? And I can tell you that in the first 3 or 4 years of Hex, the APY that you got from emergency end staking was about 3% paid in Hex. And so if we see this kind of a situation where people are getting even a higher percent of their stake back because they've served half the time, what we're predicting, Mr. Rage Gamers, is that we're going to see a lot more emergency end staking, maybe 10 times as much emergency end staking as we saw in the first 3 years. And so what does that mean? That means that you might be getting paid when you have a long stake now and you think it's only going to pay you 1% APY because the origin address came and ruined the party. What might happen in reality is that you might get paid 30% APY on the majority of your days going forward, if the price takes off like we're simulating here. And so that's really important to keep in mind, is that like the APY, it's determined by the users of the system.
It's dynamic. That's what I had to
and
say.
it's dynamic. So
So-
right now, what we're seeing is not it's right now is not how it's been in the past, and right now might not be how it's going to be in the future either.
Exactly. So another thing to bring a little bit of context, and actually I have no problem, showing that to people who are factual, because this is actually a great question. So, right, to read again, for those who didn't read the question, right? He said, with the OA staking recently APR, right, does this mean existing, keyword, existing 555 stakes or shorter that were already in play will be reduced, or does it also affect new stake after the OA? So everything in the system gets affected. Now, that being said, they get affected at a different pace based on obviously how old that stake has been made and for how long. Because remember, share rate is always in action. First rule to understand is, although the OA stake a shit ton, OA did everybody a favor, waited 5 years for you to really stack. And I'm going to talk about that, why it's important. And on top of that, staked after 5 years, meaning after T-share rate passed 40,000 hex per T-share. Let me say that again, 40,000 hex per T-share. Well, Kareem, what does that mean? That means that it's over 4 times less T-share pound for pound from somebody that just were early enough or whatever to get that kind of staking. So in other words, for every million hex or for every 1 hex somebody has to put to stake for the same direction as the OA has to put 4 times more just to be able to be in an equal weight. Then on top of that, not everything was 15 years. Some of it were, 2, 3, whatever. So he gets a little bit less of that too. So the people that have been stacking and accumulating for many years, right? Myself included, when that regression happened, yes, we technically got hit compared to what we were getting before. But because we were compounding at such a higher clip beforehand, we're still doing very good in that average. And that is very important to see. And I got a proof here. I can show you from the Dream account. I have no problem showing that. But what it comes down to is, like, before OA, long story short, some of us were compounding 70, some people even 80, because I wasn't even day one, but like 70+%, literally daily compounding. Now, I'll preface this. This is for Quattro Cinco stake, which what the question was. Now, a 10-year stake will get that too. But the Quattro Cinco, for those who are new, the beauty about that is you keep that share rate for the extra 5 years. So anybody 10+ year, we're getting the same yield, but we just like 15 years because we want to keep it for longer. So now 70-80% APY, yearly compounding. Now what ended up happening is, with this new thing that came in and the new staking that came in, the yield went from that high 80 some whatever, and then now it went down to about 30, 20 and some change. But it didn't go to 3 because, again, we've been compounded at such a high clip for a longer period of time, which then allows us to, when this thing happened, because it's happening with T-share who cost more, although we get hit, it actually is not that bad because we're still getting, again, 29, almost 30% yearly compounded. Then you take the fact, like I said earlier, if you already was compounding 70-80% for 5 years straight, your totality of compounding is still in the 60%, because it's like saying your average was around 70 5 years in a row. Then this new year comes in, you're getting 30. But because the first 5 years or 4 years for me, you were getting 70. When the 30 kicks in, it will still take a long period of time, years, before the totality of yearly compounding gets to 30. So what that means is I'm still getting 50 something, almost 60% year over year compounding over 5 years going into 6 year next year. So that's why it's very important that head start is very valuable. So if you have that old T-share, you're still really good. And again, you can go to Hex Scout, put your wallet address there. You can see where your compounding is. You can go to go.hex.com. You can plug it in there. Your daily is going to be there, but also your total yield is going to be there too, according with the big payday and all that stuff. So you really get to see where you stand. So it's very important to go see those metrics. Don't worry so much about the global number. Yes, we are, 1.5, whatever, but look at the totality based on how long you've been staked, and also when did you start it, and for how long you're extending that staking to be. And this is really where the power of delayed gratification really is in display. It's something that you're not seeing in the chart, but you have to go to those sites to really, really see it, to realize that, wow, I'm still getting a really, really, really good deal. And what the OA just did is, number one, is the reason why Hedron is pumping. But number two is the reason why when the bonding math kicks in and the liquidity comes back in, all that stack you've been accumulating for many, many years, when the price starts to rise, all those coins rises as well. So if you have been collecting millions and millions of coins, hypothetically, for many, many years, and then all of a sudden, all those millions of coins all at once get a 10x pump, your whole portfolio change. Very, very important. And at that point, you're not going to be worried about the new yield that you're getting, because the old yield that you've been accumulating at the higher clip is now getting that flip. So what that means is, in simple math, if you've been averaging, like I said, even with the change, still 50% APR in my example, and then the price 10x, that 50% now is worth 500%. This is where the value of the portfolio on a yearly basis compounded goes up 5 times. So that's really, really, really important. So again, go plug your wallet so you can see where you stand. But overall, this is really, really good. And for those who are new, trying to get in, yes, obviously, you know, you had 5 years, you waited too long if you didn't stake. But we still have, again, we have things like Hedron, and we have things like Maddie was talking about, you know, the death seas and stuff, because you literally was designed for any new person that comes in that want to buy a Quattro Cinco stake based on what it used to be and be able to catch that. So getting involved in those will give you a better yield, obviously, than you know, going on the, let's say, staking from the main contract. Now, if Desi creates a new 555 based on the new share rate, it will be the same as you going on go.hex.com. So it's not really a difference, but it has that flexibility of, like, you know, I don't really like it, but it's there. Like, you can buy a Quattro Cinco and then you can get rid of it, and then, you know, you can go in and out of there. But at least it's there for those who want to get it. So very, very important. Let me see. Maddie, is there another question? Because I think that was the main one.
I don't see Hedron going up. Why does everybody keep saying Hedron's going
No,
up?
it was. I think we talked about it and somebody went to dump it.
Oh,
no,
really?
it was. At some point, it was up 140% on the day, Maddie, when we started.
What?
Yeah, it was crazy. But again,
Hedron or Ehedron?
No, Ehedron literally shoot up. Like, you don't you see the wick? It went up. It went from like 7.0 to 6.0 and 1.15. I mean, I just like to look at it. So it's like, but again, now what's fascinating is Ehedron is now more expensive than pHedron. It used to be the opposite.
What?
And that's
Still?
insane, because P hex is double, almost borderline triple the price than E hex. Yet the Hedron on Ethereum is more valuable now than the Hedron on PulseChain. That's really cool. That's fascinating. Yeah.
What I'm seeing, what I'm seeing here, it's still 30% cheaper, or like it's like a third of the price.
It's like, okay, I got literally from GoPulse, it says 70568, and then
No, that's not real. That's not the real price.
Wait, what do you mean? What's the real price then?
Go to Dex Screener and you can actually look at. Yeah, sometimes GoPulse doesn't update all the way, but I'm seeing Ehedron is 70118.
What?
On multiple pairs.
Okay, hold on.
Check
the liquidity because
10K.
Because the volume today on the Ehedron was high compared to normal.
Okay, then Dex Screener isn't doing a good job here. Then
or they just have an old contract, because sometimes I've seen that.
But I'm okay. Well,
and the reason why I like GoPulse.
Oh, I see. Okay, I see another one.
You see?
I see another one.
You gotta be careful. And by the way, it's not always Dex Screener's Pulse. Yeah, basically sometimes they scams or
34K liquidity.
Yeah, exactly.
And
you have to get the biggest one.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
Cool.
because goalpost is like, OG enough to know to pick the right one to follow, not the one that has low liquidity. You know what I mean? Because sometimes people create different pool, right? You have like a 0.5% pool, and then somebody create a 1% pool to try to generate more fees or whatever. So that's why usually the goalpost simplify by picking the pool that's the biggest, because it will most likely reflect the price. But it's fascinating that eHedron now is more expensive than pHedron. It might be a sign.
Right.
Maybe that means eHex is making a comeback for P. I don't know. But the point of the matter is that we know that, again, eHex, back to the macro, he's more scarce than pHex because it has been sold more. And then when we're talking about the yield and also the fact that, the percentage stake, it's like it's sold more, so it's more scarce and more stake. So makes sense why the hedron over there is more scarce, which again makes sense. Oh, Super Hex just said something. I heard 3.8 billion pulse and 3.9 billion pulse X. Wow, nice. For burn was burned today. Look at that. One of the top burn day, It's again, it's like one of those days when you see a big major hack on Hex where it's like it sucks, feel bad for people, but yet it's like the system just again do what it was designed for. It's crazy.
Yeah, go team.
Yeah. And I know Alex from Hedron has been cooking something. He was trying to merge both prices. So I'm just glad that the prices are still relatively very, very close to one another, Maddie. That's really good. Because before, oh my God, it was really out of whack. Like it was like one was like 7-0, the other one was like 9 zeros. You know what I mean? It was literally like 9 and 8. Now they in the same vicinity. I mean, on and off by 20%, but that's pretty impressive because again, Alex was trying to, I heard, working on some type of a bridge so you can just kind of stake or basically use your P on the E and basically make it interchangeable. If that were to happen, bro, that would be so cool because we can take that tech and maybe now that the liquidity is getting very close to close, I'm bringing back that speculation. What if EHEX and PX hit parity, Maddie? I know people don't talk about it anymore, but prices are getting low enough that, hey, it could happen. The liquidity is getting close to being the same. That was odd. I saw that because the EHEX liquidity got beefed up while the PX liquidity was trending down. And now they're both in the roughly 400 million range, in terms of HEX liquidity. So it's like, maybe could be an argument there, you know what I mean? So, because EHEX could be that extra liquidity that can help PulseChain. And we don't have to rely on, something that's a meme coin. We actually have something that is valuable. They can call it a meme because, abandoned by the founder, but the founder, but was it? If it was the abandoned, why the hell did he stake the billions of EHEX then? Think about it.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like I tell people, like, narratives are cool, cute. Yeah, give people a chance. But like at some point, you got to test it. You know what I mean? You got to apply critical thinking and a little bit of common sense too. You know what I mean? You're not telling people they're right or wrong. Just be like, all right, cool. I see what you're thinking, but let me test that theory. If you're saying it's true, then why is this happening? Why is that happening? Because you can't ignore the facts that's presented in front of you.
Right.
Somebody said on my Model S for PX, so PulseX. Let's go. Somebody's asking if all the pDAI money aped into Hedron. It's funny. Nah, I don't think so, honestly. Hedron has a relatively small liquidity, which is also why it could easily pump really low. Like you put 30K in there, you can pump 50, 60%. I think the volume today was about roughly 100K. So I heard, Maddie, correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard whoever sold all the pDAI walk away with like $500,000 or some shit like that or more. So if $500,000 was in Hedron, guys, the price would have 100x. You hear me? 100x. And I know that a lot of people who sold their HEX, guess what? They also, especially the EHEX, they also sold the eHedron because chances are they probably sold the Hedron before they even sold the HEX. So Hedron, shameless plug because HEX doing a good job, but like funny enough, that thing is also oversold and a lot of people sold. And guess what? If you also get rid of your HEX, so to speak, you basically got rid of your hedron too, and your hedron creation as well, because now you got no more hex. Now it's getting harder for you to generate T-share, which actually indirectly makes hedron more scarce thanks to the T-share acceleration, which is why it was designed that way. That's why it was one of the first great project that, you know, myself, Maddie, whatever, we took in, because it's like, it's an amplifier of hex. It's not trying to steal hex. It's trying to complement and do something good. So when hex become more scarce, hedron benefit from that too. And also incentivize a coupon, so to speak, people to buy and stake hex because they get free hedron. And the 10x bonus phase for some of those people is gone. So it's like hedron actually can come back to be one of the hardest things, because again, low liquidity, a lot of people dumped it already. They don't have it, right? It got took away by the market maker. OA has it and never sold it too. So the same narrative people trying to use for pDAI, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? OA did the same thing with hedron and never sold it. They actually participated in it too. So, and the potential future narrative of, you know, tokenized stake, whenever that thing comes into play, that can be used. But the simple fact that all that hex that got staked and hex being scarce, that's super bullish for hedron. Very, very important, especially on the low liquidity. Like people can go in there hard. And also, one more thing, this is very, very important, is that, again, once again, the E-hedron, P-hedron is almost one-to-one parity. And that is going to be, Maddie, that might be the first coin on PulseChain to hit real parity. Like, I'm talking about like a real coin, like same on both sides. Not like, oh, hey, this P whatever and this P or no, they pair because of, no, I'm talking about like the real coin. We're not even talking about like PulseX, Pulse kind of doing one-to-one. We're talking about the same coin, same smart contract, two different chains, hitting parity. The story we have been telling people for a while, the narrative that come on PulseChain, eventually assets gets parity. Like hedron has an opportunity to be that dude of literally and pair the fucking thing. And that will be, wow, memorable. You know what I mean? So I think it's looking good for the long term for hedron, for sure. And hedron just needs to maintain his ratio to hex, like we were talking about in the bear market. It's all about ratio. Forget the price, because if you maintain your ratio and you're already near the low, it's only up from here. And if hex start to pump and hedron maintain his ratio to hex, or sometimes gain against hex, because sometimes people make a lot of money in the hex and then they go buy hedron with that too. Then next thing you know, I mean, it could go and basically do the thing we've seen before. It has done it before. It's not like it's new. So it's like all this gymnastic is like coming at the right time. But for people asking, again, the major reason of the pump, Maddie said it earlier, is because one of the, what was it? Was it the Destiny or something? One of the things was coming due today. They had to do for the staking. So, and some of those contracts accept hedron. So I think that's why.
Okay, well, it wasn't Desi, but it could have been something else.
Oh, okay. Because I heard some of those contracts take hedron too. Hedron like COSA or whatever that you can use also, because you get that, you stake, you get the other coin and you stake also. So I know some of those contracts allow the hedron to be used as a form of staking in the pool. You know, kind of like what Abdoul was talking about, how like you cannot create a pool and have multiple different coin accepted in the pool as a form of staking. So,
right.
But most importantly, basic macro common sense. After the ballsy G move that OA did yesterday, yeah, makes sense. Buy the hedron, because hex just became fucking scarce, which means creation of hedron gets even more scarce, because all these T-shit that get created, chances are in the speculation, which still is the same we've been talking about for years, OA never really sell and never really do anything. So, and doesn't pick winners and losers, which is why OA never sold the, you know, the pDAI that he had. So why would he go sell the hedron that he generates? Because he's going to get a shit ton of hedron, of course, via staking. Why would he go and connect the wallet? He doesn't need the money. So at that point, it's safe to assume, again, assumption, not guarantee. It's safe to assume that all of that future yield that got absorbed also, Maddie, this is genius, also as absorbed all the future hedron that could have been created. You catching my drift? That's very important, because assuming those coins were not staked, right? Yeah, they just sit there. They're not staked, so they don't generate any hedron. But the fact that they got staked, and we can assume safely that those hedron will never be minted or sold, it's doing the same thing, creating that scarcity. But now It's removing yield opportunity, future yield, which then means future hex creation is not happening, which then means future hedron creation is no longer happening, which is making even more scarce. So literally, if E-hex or hex gets scarce, hedron gets scarce on steroid. Because again, you can only generate free hedron, keyword free, if you have hex to begin with that you're going to stake to then get. And even when you stake it, you got to wait a good amount of time before you get a decent amount of hedron, because again, the price is way lower compared to hex. And the original back in the beginning 10x bonus is gone. So because that is gone, you're not going to get that right now. You're getting 10x less hedron than what you got before when the bonus phase was on, which add to the scarcity. And to quote Maddie, which is a good game theory, Maddie, if all those people start to EES, guess what? They're going to miss out on their hedron. That's fucking insane. Which then means that can become either A, an incentive for them not to EES early, because when they do the math, A, you're getting hit by the EES. B, you're going to forfeit the hedron that you could have had. I'm not talking about the one that you can generate every day and claim. But let's say, like we're talking about, you go to the halfway mark. And of course, before you EES, you mint your hedron that you currently have. But once you EES, let's say the other half you could have got. Now you're no longer getting those because you EES. So that game theory is wow. It's pretty insane. So I think this could be some of the old, OGs out there probably running the same analysis that I just ran. So it's huge.
Let's go.
They said, do EES people often do the math? That's a great question, Kingo. So I would say, I think it depends. So the good human psychology, if Maddie, if I could dare for a second, is like people usually do math when they start to feel like, damn, that's not what I expected. I want more. So they'll really try to like nickel and down, like, okay, cool. Like if I'm taking this, I'm really taking an L, but maybe I can move it over here and flip it over there. And usually when they think like that, they end up always revenge trading somewhere else and they're losing the money. The time where they usually don't do the math is when they're like so in profit that they're going to be like, I give you an example. We see early day in Hex, people started early. They only had like, I kid you not, less than $500. Some stories we heard, Gunter's story, he had a stake that was like $200, 150, some shit like that. And the stake with the profit and the near all-time high turned into like $1 million. You know what I mean? So now it's a 10-year stake plus, but then some people can go to answer your question. Instead of thinking, wow, this thing is worth $1 million plus and it's printing at a crazy clip rate with the T-shares, because they were early T-shares, they're just going to be like, fuck this. I'm going to hit the penalty. I'm going to lose 80%, okay? 80%. But then I still walk away with 200K. So some people do that kind of math where it's like, instead of worried about what they're losing, which is a lot, because that's what I would never do, because I do the math. I'm like, wait, hold on. I'm going to lose 800K? Yeah, no, I'm not doing that. They're looking at, okay, it cost me $200. Now I made 200K. What do I worry about the 800,000? Let me just exit. I made my 100X. I'm good. So it's, it's a little tricky. It's not right or wrong, to each their own. Again, the system is designed to, hey, whatever you want to do, you can do. But remember, action got consequences, right? You stick to your time, you get your full pay. You get 500X on your money. You want to exit early and only get 100X? Hey, you can do that too. So it just comes down to like, what is it that you want to do? But typically, again, if people are in crazy, crazy profit and they have no discipline, they're not going to do the math. They're just going to press the button because they're already imagining what they're going to do with a 200K on their little investment.
Is that going to be in a behavior that's in the emotion of fear or greed?
A little bit of both. I would say this. That's a great question, Manny. In the greed is like, bro, I never made this money before. Oh my God, 200K. They're already imagining the car they're going to buy or where they're going to go on vacation. And by the way, it's not right or wrong, to each their own. I'm just blessed that those people can say, hey, Hex changed my life. And that's just what it is. So they're just going to do that. That's the greed. Now, the fear could also be the, oh my God, I'm literally about to be on the street. It's a real emergency. I need to press this button. Yes, I know I'm losing 800K, but that 200,000 can avoid me from being on the street. So therefore, you know, the fear is like, I need to press this button now because I need the money now. You get what I'm saying, Maddie? So that's why it's
Yeah, I
like,
mean,
it's
if
not right or
if the
wrong.
if the number on their screen, you know, said 500,000 and now it says 200,000 for the amount that you can get out today, and maybe, you know, maybe using your numbers, maybe it was, you know, 4 times higher if they wait an extra few years. But this is like, this is called delayed discounting in behavioral economics, which is like an extremely retarded field where they give Nobel Prizes for people who can't even adjust for inflation, making all of their assessments like just idiotic. But the fact of the matter is that like people will in the hex system choose to take $200,000 now instead of waiting and not knowing what it's going to be worth in 5 years from now. They're not going to know if it's going to be worth 800,000 or 8 million or $8. And they're going to have that bear market PTSD, and then they're going to have the Sunwell syndrome, and I agree with you that they're going to have both of those emotions at the same time. But I think that it's going to be the spike up and then the 50% retracement that like gets people to press the EES button more than just going straight up and then not being able to take it anymore. It's going to be that loss aversion to when the number on the screen goes down from what it used to be, and your brain wants to like project that into the future as you know, a linear thing where like if the price has been going down for so long, doesn't that mean it's always going to go down? And if the price goes up, you know, doesn't that mean it's always going to go up? And that's part of the psychological reflexivity of like the system. But it's when you get those dips that you really get to test to see if this is the number you want to gamble on losing the 200K that you can get. And I think some front ends will probably even advertise at some point in the future in Hex, like, here's your value EES today. And they might not even focus as much on like how much it's worth in the future. I don't know that that's right or wrong either, but.
Yeah, I think a couple of things, right? Number one, you definitely nailed it on the head. PTSD is a real thing. I mean, it's been, you know, diagnosed and known for many, many, many years for a reason. Now, that being said, there's also what I call, you know, context, right? Because it also depends where the individual is. Because somebody could also easily argue, this is why Hexicans are so strong. You know what I mean? This is the reason why. And by the way, Hexican, PulseChain, but really Hexican for this particular thing. It's like, it's not me being like, oh my God, maximalist. It's like, no, literally, because we got battle tested. This is the part where literally the system, the staking really helps you, because we're human too, right? You know what I mean? We got PTSD too. We get the emotion, but that refreshment of like, hey, I made a commitment and I'm gonna stick to my commitment. And the cool thing is like, there's nothing I can do about it in a good way. So I can just go and live my day, you know, go see the sunshine, don't worry about the market, or find other ways to generate more money to do other things. Because again, I know my staking is working for me. Irrespective, my yield just went down a little bit. Guess what? Every single goddamn day, for all you stakers out there, you're getting more unit that you had the day before. That facts, you can take it to the bank and print it. Period. That's it. Number two, the only really number you're worried about in terms of dollar is the day when the stake ends. Any other day, honestly, if you really think about it, it's irrelevant. You just create imaginary fear that's just going to play with your brain and then trying to trigger your PTSD. And some people, you know, guys and girls, some people like to be drama queen. It's just at the end of the day, just remember those two things. You're getting more units in your stake every day than the day before. And the really, really dollar amount that really, really matters is just the day when the stake ends. Until then, none of this other stuff matters, because we can make plenty of argument that it's going to go up much higher. Or some other people can make argument that, oh, but what if this and what if that, and then the imaginary parable. And yes, some of them could happen. You know what I mean? Like, but we've been through it all. We've been everything. Bear market, bull market, 98, 99% down, sued by the SEC. I mean, you name it. This is why I say we are battle tested, almost desensitized. And to some degree, you need to get to that level so that literally you get to the point where I'm at, which is like, bro, glory or we're going to zero. That's it. There's no like, oh, what? No, because I will be upset. I talk about other people. For me, I will be upset at myself if I do all this thing, right? 5 years in dollars or whatever, and then what? And I'm going to change my mind. And even though literally in your calculation, I've had some example where it's like, yo, I can press the button and then, walk away with like, $1.52 million. Or I can just stay here and then this thing can turn me into a billionaire one day. You never know. 20, 35, anything can happen. But I'm willing, that's just me. I'm willing to say, you know what? I've took it all. And I think that in terms of level of difficulty, we have had the hardest, which is also the reason why we're literally diamond hand strong. You know what I mean? That's why it's like, I ain't worried. I'm desensitized about price. I don't even care. I'm looking at it like, oh, lower price. Okay, cool. Let me go add more. The positivity is there. The mindset is right. I'm worried about the negative stuff because, my mentor said it best. Let go of what no longer serves you. All this imaginary pattern, all being negative, it's not like you're all kumbaya. No, it takes more energy and courage to be positive than negative. Let me say this again. For those who are still watching here, we're almost 2 hours in, and thank you for being here. It takes more courage and energy to be positive and negative. Don't let nobody twist that to you. It's so easy to say, oh, man, fuck this. Oh, man, it's somebody's fault. Oh, it's this, oh, it's that. No, at the end of the day, you press the button. At the end of the day, you wanted to be in crypto. At the end of the day, you were talking about all this DeFi, this and that, and any other coin that you wanted to be financially free. Now you got to ask yourself, is the road got to be always rosy? No. Remember what you asked for, financial freedom, which, by the way, if you really make it good, that can ricochet to your family and you for generations because they get to potentially, if you want to, build family, or if you, and by the way, when I say family, it could be kids, could be brothers and sisters, you name it, whoever you want to give it to. It's a wealth that you can pass on. That's really what this is about. Once you remember all those things, when Richard said glory, all this other stuff, all this other stuff is really almost irrelevant. It's not important. It's like, all right, commitment is made. We're here. Price don't matter. We're getting more units every day. And then the price will matter the day I need to end my stake. Hopefully it turns out good. If not, hey, listen, I ran the experiment, but so far, 5 years in, we're more up than we're down. For those who follow the plan, the delayed gratification did work and is working. And mind you, that's with all kinds of obstacles throwing our way, especially the last 3 years. And let's not talking about how the thing that we had to rely on a little bit, aka Ethereum, has been shitting the bed. You know what I mean? Sorry. Has been shitting the bed and doing all this other weird stuff. So it's like when you factor all that in, and then you realize that what if the obstacles start getting removed? What if we can finally put this SEC to bed, hopefully next month? Boom. What if the business ISM comes back? What if QT ends and Federal Reserve is thinking about potentially doing global liquidity injection, which, by the way, in simple English, that's what it means when they say we're going to lower the rate. How do you fucking think they lower the rate? They fucking go in there, push the money in, buy the fucking bonds, and then the yield goes down. That's bond math. The same way, kind of like, hey, how do I yield went down? Somebody went in there, bought the hex or already had the hex, and then staked it. That's basically what it is. That's what the bond market is. Somebody goes in there, use the USD, buys the bonds, plug it in there, and then the yield goes down. So all those things can happen. All the cool things that the Trump administration is trying to put into play, bringing all the manufacturing back in the country, all this sort of stuff, because business ISM, that's what it is. It's manufacturing. When these things start to go back positive, this is usually when Ethereum gets its cue. Also, if BTC is on that zone where it's supposed to be potentially bouncing after being down for 3 years, like all those things matters. Like if you could wait another 3 to 6 months, we can have a completely different conversation by the end of the year. If could be at a different price, which obviously is going to help PulseChain at a function of a square, which obviously is going to help PulseX, which obviously is going to help Hex and Ink, because again, bonding liquidity and all this selling that we're absorbing now, and God forbid, make no mistake about it, it's being absorbed by people who are thinking long-term. Because people forget that when so much selling is happening and the price is not going to zero, so to speak, it's not magic. Somebody has to put the fucking bid. All the shit goes straight red line. It doesn't do that. Why? Because the money is there. Somebody got to be the buyer of last resort. And make no mistake about it. Whoever that is, they love to buy it on a discount. Oh, you don't believe? All right, cool. Give it to me. Yeah. 98% discount. Yeah, I'll take it. 99% discount from the all-time high for Hex and some of those.
I think this super chat is not even going to be worth 1 hex. So somebody's asking, a shout out to Big Woo. with the $2 super chat. Appreciated. And right, today this super chat, it can buy you probably a couple hundred PHEX, right?
Yeah.
But at the price top, 2 years from now, I could see PHEX being $5 because that's a 10x over what we did last cycle.
Perfect. Yeah, and then it's another 100x plus from the quote unquote local low area that we have. So Maddie's absolutely right. I can see definitely dollar plus, and in the shilling point, anywhere from 5.5 around that zone. Now, somebody might try to front run it and then sell it at $4 or $3 or whatever it might be. But the point is that shilling point is definitely in play. Bare minimum, new all-time high. And then from there, because I think it also depends, Maddie, how we get there. If we get there where literally hex to ETH ratio is not what I call overextended. In other words, and Maddie, if you don't mind, actually, let's do some quick charts too. I think it's a great timing. I want people to see this because it's very, very important. Because this is about to be, oh my God, crazy bullish, but it's just me backing it up with facts. So you get to understand the thought process of how this thing actually works. So, you know what I mean? So let me pull this up. So Hex USD.
Got it.
All right, got it. So, right. So we have the Hex USD chart right here. Now, first shilling point that I see here when we're battling with the moving average is we got to quickly go to the, the 6 cents, which is right around when we PulseChain launch, whatever. And when we had our little parity as well. Man, what is going on? I got to close this thing. This keeps giving me.
Right. Oh, hey, we got a $50 super chat from Fast Abdoul. Nice. He's making the announcement. His new protocol, ink printer, will be launching tonight.
Okay.
Be ready. And the Telegram for that, I'll just drop it in the chat right now because I've seen 1,000 people almost join this Telegram recently. Is t.me/ probably ink printer chat is the name of that. And then I saw a post in there that the website isn't up yet, but it'll be inkprinter.com.
That's awesome. Shout out to Fast Abdoul. Thankful, we wish you were here, but obviously for obvious reason you're busy launching thing tonight. So congrats and good luck.
Yeah, congrats.
Yeah. So as I was saying here, first shilling point, right? We got the 5-6, which is where the 200 moving average is, which is 6 cents, 6.5 cents, and then back to what me and Maddie was saying, from that average where we should have been, if there is no after PulseChain launch, if there was no panic, people trying to EX sucks, PX got all this drama here, and then we got the SEC drama. So it's let's say all those gets resolved. This is where Hex should have been with the parity in between the two. So, and when you take it from here, that consolidation zone, which we're coming down on from the top, right? Because if you do a quick retracement, 50 cents from the top back to about 6 cents, we get that nice roughly 85-90% retracement, which is healthy for something that went up 10,000x. And then we were coming back from here. You usually go sideways, and then from here you're 100x, which is why me and Manny saying rightfully so, anywhere from $6-7 hex, more than 5 is usually where the next shilling target could be, which is again the nice 5x from the 10x, from the previous all-time high. So as a static good area, I can see that happen. So rule number 1, which is cool, we're starting to trend the other way, right? As we have seen here. Now, this is the USD value. Obviously, we were right around here, and then ETH starts shitting the bed. But what I really want people to pay attention is this guy right here. So I'm going to go to the weekly. This guy right here is Hex to ETH ratio, which is literally, like I said, when I was talking about, it depends how if it's overextended or not. It's bro, it has so much room to grow. It's not even funny. It's not even funny. Just from where we are to just where we were November 2024, it's 500%. And remember, it moves as a function of a square. If Hex beat ETH by 500% in a ratio, that's you gotta literally square that. You know what I mean? So 5 by 5 is 25. So it's 2,500% in the USD chain. So that's 25x. 25x just for if ETH stays where it's at right now, and then Hex ETH ratio, you were to just do a candle like this, a couple of those, and start pushing higher, we'll literally get a 25x in price. I mean, that's literally how insane this can go. Now, first thing for people to pay attention is that The trend has already changed. Since September, you get to see. This is market maker move, okay? Like high lows. You know what I'm saying? Like this is, you can see the volume is slowly increasing, but it's like every time those wick is like somebody is dumping, people are exiting. That's cool, but it's maintaining the base. It wants to push. There's a cool line that I drew before, but it just went away. I'm gonna draw it again. This is what I call the Godwell formation, right? This is the time where I wasn't into hex yet. Like literally, I started around here. So what I call the Godwell formation is I always look at the ratio. Where did Godwell get in? He got in right around here because that first candle, that's him. He did this, and then, you know, we all chased after that. So in a funny way, the price is, like I would tell earlier in the beginning of the stream, the price in USD is close to, of EHEX is close to where I first bought HEX. But the funny thing is, in HEX to ETH ratio, the price is right here, which is even lower than when I first bought it after Godwell. So it's like, that's what I'm saying right now. It's like you're getting the best deal you can have for a very long time, because what's going to happen is, like this formation happened back in the day. It goes sideways for a while. Remember, those are weekly chart. Then he makes an initial move, attack, volume increase. Then he consolidate that, wait for the people to set. And then at some point, the party really pop. So let me make sure it's in log, first of all, because it's regular. Boom, put in log. So now that it's in log, go here a little bit. It's like we're here. We started the first initial move, retracement. We're doing this. Then in about a couple weeks, possibly next month or so, again, all those other things that I talked about, business ISM, things start to twist, Ethereum start to trend the right way. Then watch the hex ETH ratio start to pump again. So it's like, you think we're pumping, we haven't even started because we're here. Why? Because then when you zoom out, you got that red line. Like I said, I show where Godwell got in. And we are literally, look at where that red line is and look at where we are. That's how crazy it is. That's how, and just from here, where we are to the red line, that's 200%. Okay. Once again, move as a function of square. 200%, right? Square, that's 400% in price. This is how literally we can quickly go from where we are now to, you know, EHEX and PulseChain will follow, pHEX will follow as well. But let's say this is how EHEX literally go from 002, and then next thing you know, it goes to boom 008 on its way to the penny again. And the same way we saw a vicious move down. If you know what I used to talk about all the time, also a vector candle, when literally somebody just dump liquidity and remove it. The same way liquidity can just a little bit, and then all at once. The same way it was like little bit, all at once. Expect another little bit, and then at some point, when the liquidity low enough and the money comes in, it just closed the doors. Next thing you know, we shoot back up. Now, on our way to the all-time high, if this is key, if we're getting this move right here, where I'll say, I call it the PulseChain move, from where we are to roughly where the PulseChain days were, somewhere around here, that is literally, guys, kid you not, 4,200% plus, right? 42x. Let me just do easy math. Let's say it's 40x, right? You take that, you square it. You square 40x, you get 160x. 160x, guys. This is insane. So if hex ETH ratio with current Ethereum price, right? We talk about, I'm gonna round it up, 2K ETH. We're not even talking about 4K ETH. We just say if ETH stays at 2K and we get the ratio over here, we're literally pumping the price 1,600, right? 1,600x. So it's like now, when you get this doubling, and then now all of a sudden, the price is somewhere around, you know, 16 cents, more or less. Because again, the 40x, which you square, gets you the 160x. Now we here. And then 1620. Now there's still this move right here, which is what we got overextended. That's what I call overextended. From here to here. That's another, again, let's just round it up, 200%. So 200%, same math, you square it, that's 400%, which is 4x. So if we round up, price make a run, 16 cents, almost on the way to 20 cents. And then from there, do another 4x, boom, you got 80 cents hex. Now, 80 cents hex with the $1,800 Ethereum. Remember that. It's very important. This is on 1900, basically 2K. Now, if Ethereum goes back towards 4K at the same time, that's when we get the big, what I call extended move, where it's like, holy shit, 80 cents hex. And then now ETH start trending towards 4K, you move as a function of the square. So now what's happening is ETH is doubling in price 2 to 4, which means the hex price will get a 4x multiplier, which then means 80 cents times 4, right, becomes 32, which is basically, 3,200 cents, which is basically you get $3 plus. So all these things that we're talking about, it's backed by math. And that's with a $4,000 ETH. $4,000 ETH, hex to ETH ratio goes back to where it was at the peak of June, overextended. That's a $3.20 hex. And we can do this math again by saying, well, Cream, then what if ETH go to 6,000 instead of just 4,000? Then what if it gets another double, right? So in other words, instead of just, hey, double, it triple, it goes from 2K to 6K, right? So it's 3X. 3X, you square that, that's 9X. So now, same thing. You take the 80 cents that we were talking about at the extended point, and then you multiply it by 9. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, you get, so 8 times 9, it's basically, what is it? 71. Which is basically $7. $7.01. You get that, Matty? So it's like literally all those things is literally from the math and from where the prices are. It's like, whoa, because we haven't even begun to run. Like literally, again, this is where Godwell got in. For those who forgot, that little red line. And look at where we are from the red line. It's a fucking joke. You can buy Hex at a price compared to ETH where it's like, compared to where I was when I got in, it's like it's cheaper. It's the same price in USD, but in ratio, it's cheaper. It's literally roughly, let me do the math, the measurement the opposite way. So from that zone, and again, that's when Godwell got in. I got it after him, so the candle already went up already. But you,
Kareem, I think we have breaking news.
Breaking news. Go ahead, shoot.
All right.
Hey boys, how's it going?
What's up? Fast.
Been a bit busy day.
Yeah, you don't say.
Yeah. So, I have nothing to report. How about you guys?
Oh, come on.
Okay, ink printer is live.
Yeah.
Well,
and we're live.
We are live.
All right, I love it. Shill it to us. Give us like an elevated summary of what does it do and everything in 5 minutes. Please go ahead.
It's a $2 stable coin.
Yeah, right now that may be the case. A couple over eager participants. The ink printer is a fork of Liquidity with immutable code that allows you to make a stable coin out of your ink, which allows you to have sort of de facto single-sided staking for ink, because you can stake that stable coin as in the contract. It was single-sided, or you can put it in an LP pair with DAI and participate that way to earn print tokens, which can also be staked to earn more ink as well as ink dollars. So it's there's lots of little loops. There's lots of little strategies. Nice. It's pretty juicy.
Nice. Well, hey, thank you, sir, for helping ink be great again.
Yeah.
I think it's already pumped the ink price today. So it's it will give people some options, something to do with their ink. I appreciate you guys doing a show where you mention it without me here. I've been in dev meetings
on the thumbnail
the whole day. Yeah, that was great. And we will we'll do our best to make ink great again.
So let's put the official Telegram in the chat again, because I've been seeing a lot of people joining it there, and of course we have a lot of rich people who watch the show. T.me/ink printer chat, and then the website. I haven't been to the website yet. What's the website?
So inkprinter.com.
Printer.com, spelled INC. And there it goes. It's live, ladies and gentlemen. And then also, don't get scammed by fake contract addresses,
Yep.
only go to the official Telegram and go to the pinned messages where, oops, I went down too many pinned
At
messages.
the very least, that's what we want to avoid. At least.
We want to read out the contract addresses so people don't lose all their money that way.
Yeah.
So
In the chat.
Yeah.
also.
Go take the contracts from the pin message in the Telegram room only. That's your best choice. They're also from the ink printer protocol. You can add the contracts to your wallet. If you scroll down to the bottom of the page, there's an option to just add them to your wallet. So that works too.
Because there's fake ones out there.
There always is on anything this big that there's some scammer trying to scam somebody.
Yeah.
So, and same rules as always apply. Like Fast Abdoul is not going to DM you and tell you have to verify your wallet or any of that bullshit.
Right. Never share your seed words with anybody. Use a hardware wallet. Be careful when things launch. Sometimes they're mispriced and they go through price discovery. So like,
that too. But launch doesn't mean it's gonna go up.
Be careful out there and have fun, because like we have lots of advanced users that watch this show and have already participated in liquid loans. They've already participated in Flex, and what's the other one?
Liquid loans, Flex, and Earn.
And so they've already had 3 live practice tries to do something like this. And this is the Infinity Stone that fills out the set. The 4th core RH.
What's worth saying, and Abdul, you can confirm or correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's important to say that I'm grateful that, again, you're not one of those that just decided to do another, sacrifice this, that. You just build a thing, put the thing here, boom, token already exists. You make potentially ink great again, because again, hopefully, if people are not smart enough to keep their ink and they were getting the yield, they're already getting, at least with that single side thing, maybe now that, funny enough, other yields are no longer as available. So it will help people just come down a little bit to like, let the bull run comes. You know what I mean? And a high ink value would definitely help. Anybody that have half a brain that understand how to attract new capital on PulseChain, well, the idea was literally, that's its fucking name, incentive token. That's what it was for. The higher it is, the higher the APR, more people come in, they're bridging money, we get more stables, the party goes on. But then some people, they were just out there just grift and then take and dump, and I'm like, what the fuck? So I think just for that and building the thing and not trying to take money from, just be, hey, you already got the ink. Now you just gave a little bit also of value in the sense of ink now has another potential mechanic that comes in economics where, hey, if I buy this thing, I can potentially put to that protocol to earn more. So, because that was the one coin that didn't really have its own staking compared to the rest. So that's good, I think. Yeah, and Fast Abdoul and I did a whole stream on this for like an hour, and like the biggest takeaway that I got out of it is that there's a $2,000 vault minimum, for example, with like liquid loans, whereas here it's only a $500 minimum. Maybe you still want to go $1,000, in order to have a 200% collateralized ratio, but that's like a better entry point for people who are moderate users enough to understand what they're doing and to play along here. But just to be clear and fast again, please correct. It's like that's if you want to play what I call the leverage side of the game. If you just want to, hey, let's say I have ink, I ain't trying to borrow no USD. I'm just gonna park it, earn yield. I can do that, right? I'll be honest with you. For me, not that I'm risk averse, it's just like I think that was cool, the single sided, because the other stuff, liquid loan, this, that, just different flavor to me. But that I think is the really cool side of it. For me. Because it removes some of the risk. Because again, when DJing, man, you can put 500, you can put 2,000 ink. Some people are just gonna put whatever, and then they're gonna overborrow, and then some shit's gonna happen, right? Volatility, and then they're gonna get liquidated. It's like, what the fuck?
I think it's pretty easy not to get liquidated if you pay attention, if you read the white paper. So just read the documents and proceed with moderation as an educated user. I think. It'd be well within your range, Kareem, to be sure. And then you have a single-sided staking option. Getting liquidated means mostly that you lost 10%, right? So it's not like a liquidated on GMX or leverage trading thing where you lose it all. right? So it's a a medium risk in comparison to those things.
Okay.
But there's like definitely education is key. You need to spend the time reading documents. So don't FOMO into putting a large amount of crypto into something you don't understand. So if this is new to you, if you've used the other protocols, this is so close to being the same that probably you'd get by very well. But if you haven't used any of the other protocols, you probably want to consider some moderation there.
No, absolutely. And I appreciate you saying that live for everybody to see. And like I said, the thing that I feel super comfortable, saying on air, whatever, is that, again, if you own some ink, obviously, if you're part of PulseChain and you have a little bit of everything, right? So you can never go wrong. That's the best, like free advertisement I can give. You can never go wrong just making more, right? Single-sided. It's like you create a stake and you earn more ink. And then the protocol, if it does well, we'll be able to pay you. So what's the APR on that? Do we know or
the APRs they're going to be insane. Like if I look at the current APRs.
Yeah, in the beginning it's always insane because it has to attract liquidity somehow. So
they're in the tens of thousands percentage wise right now. Of course, those go down.
Yeah, exactly. I'll give it a week first and then see what's up. But yeah.
Well, with this kind of protocol, if you want to get those high APRs, so there is a benefit to participating early. Right now, the single-sided staking on Ink dollars is 25,000%. Now that number is going to go down, but the Ink LP farming Ink dollars to DAI is like 470,000%, and print to Ink LP farming says something like 67 million%. So that's
it's new. We gotta give it a day. Let me see. But I do.
They will go down. But I'm saying that like being in early, you get to capture some of a benefit, right? Like the early LP providers, the early stakers of the Ink dollar, they're going to get a higher APR than the people who come later.
No, guys, everybody watching, obviously, early is better. What I'm saying is, I don't want me or Matty or Abdoul to say, "Oh, you're gonna get this much APR," and then a week later it's way different when the whale comes in, and then you'll be like, "Oh, but you told me." Like, no, what we're saying is obviously early is better, but just know that those numbers are very dynamic and obviously
price discovery.
Exactly.
So, cool. We're at 2 hours and 20 minutes. Is there anything else that we can hear from Fast Abdoul before he gets back to his checking and other things?
I got some more button pressing to do today, to be sure. I think, I just timed it perfectly to make it to the end of the show, which I'm happy
well done.
With. Nice, perfect. Oh wait,
off to a good start. $1 million in there already.
There you go. Can you guys show us basic usage of ink print for newbie like me?
I think Fast needs to focus on making sure the protocol's going smooth and doing everything he has to do on launch day. Maybe that's something that he'll do in the future.
We've done some videos that cover that. Like my video with Maddie, my video with Crypto Coffee, I shared the screen and showed which buttons to press. So there's things there. Also, you can look at previous videos done by Just Ask Jesse about like the Earn protocol, the Flex protocol. Almost all the same information is provided. So, but join the Telegram room where you can ask questions. Just remember that I'll never message you directly, like privately, and that you can ask questions there. We'll give you all the links to the videos there, and we'll get you up to speed in no time.
Questions are turned off right now for the Telegram.
They are, and that was a security thing while we were launching, so that no scammers could post a fake contract.
Okay.
Right? Common problem.
So people smart. So people can probably. I don't know if we shared the screen on my stream, like in terms of what to click, but you're saying on youtube.com/cryptocoffee369, somebody might be able to find a tutorial there.
I'm pretty sure we shared the screen there and went over all the features, so that would be a good one for that part. And you and I, we went over more of the theory of it, so that's
right. Yeah.
And then the cool thing too, Abdoul, correct me if I'm wrong, but the cool things like, guys, if you guys go on the main website, right, the .com, inkprinter.com, there's probably marketing material explanation because I feel bad, James, because I want to obviously answer your question, but again, Abdul's busy right now, obviously it's lunch day, but is there on the website, besides the Telegram, is there somewhere where a newbie can go at his own pace, just read the website and then go step by step? Is there something like
There's
that?
links to the white paper from the website, so that's fine. But the Telegram room has the best links. So I would go there to find links to videos, to find links to white paper, to find links to website, and make sure you have the right contract numbers, if you're participating. But the only thing you really need to participate is Richard Hart's Inc. token. Everything else is optional.
Exactly.
Cool.
Thanks for saying that. It's very important.
Yeah.
See, again, Fast didn't go and create a new coin, right? Guys, it's very important. Not that I say he should or he shouldn't. I'm just saying this is one of the things we like, amplify, add value. And I will say, honestly, something fucking good actually launched there for PulseChain, right? Because we're trying to, again, I
We
want
dig it.
but we won't do that next week. But some of the people that we met were in Vegas and new project we're trying to help on board. I think it's good as well. So yeah, Fast, you saved the day. I mean, shit, without this bullshit with pDAI, at least that's the silver lining for PulseChain.
I'm loving
I
it.
hope so.
And yeah, right now Inc is $1.75. Let's see how it's looking next week and whatnot. But yeah, this is it seems like
would be cool?
a good day to launch.
Cool? I'm putting into the universe for you. What would be cool is that I probably after some time and some vetting, it's like you could be the next kind of like what happened with Alex from Hedron. We're like, hey, maybe OA will put some ink in there. Who knows? It's like, why the fuck not, right? You're trying to suck the ink out of the system, and then you got so many of it. Well, let me just park the bus there. You guys get wrecked or do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I mean, because why
the
not?
OA likes yield.
You gotta make sure, of course he does. But security first, thing, all that stuff. That would be what I wish for you. For that, because that will be cool. And then, hey, we're looking for a cool stable coin that's actually algorithmically really backed, not just speculation.
Right, now we're talking.
Imagine, wink, wink. Again, guys, speculation. A little bit bullish, but speculation. Abdoul passed the test of time. The thing is good, battle tested. Some ink shows up over there, wink, wink. And the next thing you know, the stable coin, which is actually fucking backed by ink, which is a real fucking thing, right? Not imaginary stuff. Next thing you know, we have a strong stable coin.
Kareem's getting a bunch of people to join the Telegram now. Now that he mentioned the OA game theory, now people are really filing in there.
I mean, it makes sense. OA participate in Hedron because it makes sense. It's complementary.
Let's not get too carried away that we know what the OA is doing secretly through the blockchain.
Maddie, you're funny. You love to guess what the OA does. Now you're going to say what?
Facts. No. I like it. I think I said something similar earlier this week. I said I did an hour with Liquid Loans this week, and I made the same point that you just made, Kareem.
Nice. I'm not saying it's gonna happen right away. OA is very risk averse.
Right.
So, but again, if the thing is legit and is good and is tested and it has security audit, all the things that we talk about at Notion, and I'm sure Abdul heard them many times, you have a shot. I mean, it's PulseChain. It's not just like we gotta have new shit every now and then that's actually good,
Totally.
So yeah.
Well, that's a great place to leave it because we're very proud of Fast Abdoul and what he's built here, and we're excited to see people check it out for themselves and do their own research and take their own risks. And as always, work on getting educated. That's why we're here primarily, is we're here to educate you, to share our analysis of the market and to commentate on things. We're not here to influence you to do something, but we want you to have the same information that we got from others. So we're here to pay it forward.
Absolutely. And then, okay, somebody in the chat, my bad, he said back to cream chart, but all you need to know now, because we'll review next week, but this coming week, most important thing, guys, it starts tomorrow. I kid you not. The Federal Reserve is going to have that talk. Again, the rate's not going to change. It's already baked in, but it's the afternoon talk when he comes and they start asking the question, what are you thinking about QT? Are you going to stop it? Like what we call the forward guidance. That's what's going to dictate if we're getting a big pump or not. That's number one. Number two, again, stay away from high leverage. The liquidation bots are out there to get you. They might even try to crash the market an hour before the talk. And it's this high volatility running around when Powell talk. Every time people try to guess early, they get wrecked. We have something really cool. We don't have to try to gamble the market. We just wait. The data comes in. So we got more business ISM and unemployment number by the end of the week. That's good to know. And then potentially, that's the one topic we didn't talk about today, but Trump is supposed to have a call with Putin tomorrow talking about the war. Why is that important? Wink, wink. Because if they get a ceasefire deal, which is huge, again, it's not end of the war, but at least ceasefire, the market is going to fucking rip because they're going to be like, what? We got clarity? What? They might end the war? You know what I mean? Putin might be cool with Trump. Let's go. Now, next thing you know, that's one uncertainty that's going to cover the bullshit uncertainty about the tariff, even though we're just doing reciprocity. But
I dig it.
That will be so cool. So this week could go either way, but starting tomorrow, we got those two big things. So yeah, thank you.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Where can people find you, Kareem?
Kareem Crypto on IG, very important, Cuatro Cinco, and Your Magic on Twitter. And then me and you, we're posting some fun videos lately. So if you get the time, definitely check those out.
Hell yeah. And Fast Abdoul, where can people find you?
You can be found on Twitter under at Fast Abdoul, as seen on the screen, or you can reach us via the Ink Printer Telegram room, which I'm sure has been tagged here, or
Ink Printer Chat.
Ink Printer Chat. Inkprinter.com, 2fox.io. Those are all the projects I am attached to.
Awesome. And for me, I have a link probably pinned so you can buy a Trezor. There's a new exploit on Windows machines that affects MetaMask in Chrome browsers. So that's why you want to order your Trezor device now from my link. You get it for the same price that you would get it normally. And then I don't have to worry about you as much as I would. But yeah, be careful out there, people. There are new hacks every day. And if you're on a Windows machine and you're using Chrome and MetaMask, you need to look into that. It's something that I posted earlier today on Twitter. So with that being said, stay safe out there. You can follow all my content at mati.pls.fyi, always on Twitter. And until next time, print wisely, my friends.
Let's get it.
Out. Print wisely. Nice, guys.
Print wisely.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Outro music.
That's a cool logo.